You fighting like a dead lamb. Bro, I got to 180 subs.
Damn, isn't that like 8 subs?
I think it's like 12.
Damn, okay, awesome.
But I don't know though. I mean, I remember about 2 days ago I was at 168, I think. So it's at least 12 subs since like 2 days ago.
Dude, I got one and then lost one all in the same day. Damn, isn't that like 8
Yeah, it do
subs?
be like that. I already know for a fact
Yeah,
I'm
it beats
gonna
like that.
lose. I already know for a fact I'm gonna lose one because I got a YouTube account that looks so much like a bot and even talked like a bot. And so I think I'm gonna lose one here in the next couple days because
Yeah, I
that's what it
imagine mine was a bot because I couldn't track where it subbed from, which was weird.
Yeah. And so yeah, it happens. But like
Yeah,
I'll be
I'm
really
not too worried
honest.
about it.
I think I've only lost like 3 subs and I've
I probably lost like 4 or 5.
yeah, maybe I'm closer to that. Maybe,
My
there could
videos are a little more controversial than yours though. Cause I think I'll do a video on like Epstein and get some subs, and then I'll do a video on like deporting illegals, and that person that subbed to the Epstein video will watch it and be like, "Oh, I don't like this," and like on sub. That's what I
yeah,
think
that's
happens a
rough.
lot.
Yeah, that is rough.
Like doing Israeli conspiracies, said that someone could have been offended by that. It's possible.
Yeah, maybe you're not in a yeah, that's that is
A
rough.
little controversial sometimes. Welcome to the Pipeline Podcast live stream. Today we're going to be streaming the New York City Mayoral Debate.
Shalom, brothers.
Yeah, let's see how many of the candidates pledge their allegiance to Israel and say that that'll be their first trip once they get elected. I bet one of them will say that. Probably not Mamdani, but it's the other guy, Cuomo. I bet he'll say that in the debate and get claps or something.
Well,
That's my
pay
prediction.
his way.
Oh, he already did pay his way. Goddamn.
They'll pay his way.
Anyway, where is this? I just gotta pull up the video.
Are you here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I in the stream?
Yeah, you're in the stream.
Do you want to pull up the stream?
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me stream it so you can see.
Telemundo 47. We do have a few rules for the candidates. For traditional question and answer,
that's what's up, dude.
1 minute to respond, and we'll offer 30-second rebuttals at the moderator.
All right, so this is the debate. We're just gonna watch the debate, and then if we have comments, we'll pause it and comment on it. That's what we're doing here.
Moderator's discretion. We'll also be asking questions where we will be looking for shorter answers. We also reserve the right to cut off your microphone if you ignore the rules, but candidates, we don't want to do that. The goal is for you to hear each other and for New Yorkers to hear every.
I actually don't know this guy in the middle, but it's Como on the left, Mamdani on the right.
Looks like Cotton Hill.
It almost looks like
Hank Hill's dad.
yeah. It almost looks like Rudy Giuliani.
Good luck. We'll begin with
like an older bald one.
Thank you, David, and good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. We begin tonight by asking you to do what every mayor dreams of, and that is to write your own headlines. Imagine it's January 2027, and you have been in office for exactly 1 year. We would like you to quickly give us one headline about what you think your biggest accomplishment will have been in year number 1. We'll begin with you, Mr. Cuomo.
First, thank you very much for sponsoring the debate and having all of us. The one headline, how many characters in the headline?
You're familiar with headline length.
Rent down, comma, crime down, comma, education scores up, comma, more jobs in New York City.
I'm getting maybe a little over the average headline length, but
I will say it's hard for him to make this to make a good answer here because he's been the mayor before, and I believe rent didn't go down. I'm not even sure if crime went down when he was the mayor. I think both of those went up. So it's like, come on, man.
And let's not forget what he did to the elderly population.
That's all I ever think about.
how many old people he killed. That's all I ever think about.
Yeah, same. That, and I think his brother is like a CNN
Which
anchor or
Cuomo is
something.
this one?
This
There's
is the
Chris
ex-mayor.
Cuomo, and then there's I know.
I think
What's
this
this
is
guy?
Andrew Cuomo.
Anthony, Andrew,
Yeah, something like that.
Tony. Just call him Tony. I'm sure he goes
It's
by Tony.
Tony.
Optimism high.
Thank you. Mr. Sliwa.
Curtis Sliwa is without his iconic red beret because I'm talking to the people of New York City about the really serious issues of affordability, the cost of living,
This guy just
and
referenced
obviously
himself in the
what
third person
I
and
spent
say
most of
he's
my life doing, which
missing
is
his green
public
beret.
safety in the
Seriously,
streets and the subways.
Oh, that's what he was saying, right? Okay, so he must be like some
Is he like
ex-military. Yeah.
What was his name?
Oh, Siwa, something I've never heard of. Sounded like JoJo Siwa, like her dad.
We would love a headline from you. What will your headline be? Your big headline and your number one as mayor.
Curtis Sliwa exceeds all
Sliwa.
expectations and
He keeps
looks
referring himself
very
to
mayoral
the
tonight.
third person.
Mr. Mamdani,
Yeah, it's
you've
weird.
had some time to think about it now. What's your headline?
It's a pleasure to be here, first
He's
of all. And I
71
really want
years
to thank
old,
the moderators
Republican.
and the opportunity to speak
Oh, okay, so he's the Republican candidate. That's what it is. Mamdami's the Democrat, and then Cuomo's independent.
So okay, I don't think he is actually. I don't think he was actually a Green Beret. He does a radio show, and he was involved in something called the Guardian Angels.
Oh,
civilian,
yeah, I know about the Guardian Angels.
yeah, civilian, and the Magnificent 13, a civilian group dedicated to combating violence and crime in the New York subway.
Interesting.
When they were experiencing a crime wave. I don't know if that's where they. Oh, is that where they got their berets?
Yeah, they wear the berets. So if
Okay.
Mamdami wins, he'll have to put his beret back on because people are saying Mamdami will make crime go up.
Uh-oh.
directly to New Yorkers about this moment in time and our opportunity to transform the most expensive city in the United States of America. The headline would read in about a year, Mamdani continues to take on Trump, delivers on affordability agenda for New Yorkers.
Thank you, Mr.
I don't, okay, personally, I do want to say, like, I live in New York, and I don't want New York to be one of those cities that straight up defies the federal government every chance that they get. Because every time we see this happen, all that it leads to is Trump sending in the National Guard for not fun things. So I really don't want to see that personally. I want to see people from different sides of the spectrum try to work together. That would be great.
It almost feels like sometimes when they do that in places like California or other blue areas, it's just like some of the policies seems like they're just cutting off their nose to spite their face.
Yeah,
Like,
and it will get him voters for saying that kind of stuff, but that's not what I want at all. I don't want to see New York turn into downtown LA.
Mr. Mamdani. Sally?
Thank you, Melissa. We're going to talk about leadership. Voters have reservations about all three of you as chief executive of New York City, a city with roughly 300,000 employees and a budget bigger than many countries. We have questions for each of you, and Mr. Cuomo, we will begin with you. As a former governor of New York, you obviously have the management experience, but you resigned from office amid sexual harassment and COVID-related scandals. Why should voters now trust that you have the character to be mayor? You have 1 minute.
Good. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the question.
Tough question.
First, you are right. I left office. There was a report that was done that
Left
had
office.
allegations of harassment. I said at the time it was a political report and that there was no basis to it. It was then sent to 5 district attorneys. They all reviewed it. They found nothing. It was then litigated for 5 years. I was
All right. Why would he leave office if it's a political report, you know? There had to have been some truth to it.
dropped from the cases. So none of that came to anything. When it comes to executive experience, I've run the Department of Housing and Urban Development, built housing all across the nation. I was governor for 11 years. The budget is double what it is in New York City, and I got government to work. I passed groundbreaking laws, minimum wage, paid family leave, built projects that had never been built before. This is no job for on-the-job training. And if you look at the failed mayors, they're ones that had
He also made sure that you can't buy 42 ounces of Coke at a time. You have to buy like two 24 ounces.
Oh yeah,
That's his legacy.
That's one of those things too, because you totally still can in the city. Like it's just not enforced. Thus, also, you're not supposed to be able to use plastic straws, but every restaurant has a plastic straw. It's so funny. Like policies like that don't actually get enforced.
Funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
No management experience. Don't do it again.
Thank you. Rosalina?
Thank you, Sally. In the theme of leadership, Mr. Mamdani, you work as a
I can't take her voice seriously.
Oh my gosh.
In the theme of leadership.
Leave her alone.
For winning seat
Doing her best.
It's a nice voice, but I mean, in political debate, she's asking me questions. I would just start laughing.
Oh my God.
You have no substantial management experience. How are you ready to lead the nation's largest and greatest city in the world in one day?
Let's go, Mamdani.
You know, I have the experience of having served in the New York State Assembly for 5 years and watching a broken political system, the experience of seeing a governor in Andrew Cuomo who would rather have served his billionaire donors and the working class New Yorkers who voted for him, and the experience amidst all of that of fighting and winning for working class taxi drivers to free them from predatory debt and delivering the first free bus lines in New York City history, and in working with unions and working class New Yorkers to find.
Also, another New York insider tip, they canceled those free bus routes because they weren't able to afford them. So they don't have those free bus routes that he set up anymore. They got rid of them.
Finally raise taxes just that little bit on Mr. Cuomo's donors to start to fully fund our public school. And more than that, I have the experience of being a New Yorker, someone who has actually paid rent in the city before I ran for mayor, someone who has had to wait for a bus that never came, someone who actually buys his groceries in this same city. And what all of that experience has shown me, which Mr. Cuomo can't seem to understand, is that it is far too expensive and far too hard for New Yorkers to afford to live in this city. And the definition of experience is not doing the same thing again and again and hoping for a different result. That's actually the definition of insanity.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Got him.
Oh, and fun fact, that's actually a misconception. So I Googled it one time. That doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity is actually a misquote. It's actually not the definition of insanity. Just a little unrelated, but wanted to bring that up.
Isn't it? It's doing the same thing over and over again that gets you the same results, but expecting different ones.
That's just someone that like misquoted Einstein allegedly. I Googled it one time. It's fake. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter. Yeah.
And I think I was invoked.
Yes.
In other words, what the Assemblyman said is he has no experience. And this is not a job
He has
for
no
someone with no
experience.
management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget.
I mean,
He
who
literally
has that
never had
experience? Just a
job.
handful of people.
On his resume, it says he interned for his mother. This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane, you have, God forbid, a 9/11.
And then it's
God
like,
forbid a 9/11, bro, is literally
Jesus,
bringing out
bro.
9/11 as a scare tactic right now. That is fucking Republican 101 right there. That is
that's
crazy.
low. That's low.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you need someone with experience in case there's another 9/11. Like, jeez, bro.
Yeah, that's
health
what
pandemic,
conservatives do.
If you don't know
Thank
what
you,
you're
Mr.
doing,
That's what
people
Bush
will
did.
die.
It's like Bush Jr.
And if we
That's
have
how
a
he
health
ran.
pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes?
Oh,
That's the kind
he
of
said it.
experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity, and what you don't have in
Got him.
integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
First, what you said was totally false, as you know.
As you know.
During COVID, everyone did whatever they could in this state. And there have been numerous investigations where they've gone through it, and they said we followed federal guidance. But yes, people died during COVID, and my heart breaks for everyone that died in this state.
They can't even accept responsibility.
Just to be clear, Mr.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Just to fact check that, there is a criminal investigation reportedly
He's
underway
getting
at the
fact-checked.
DOJ about your testimony to Congress about your nursing home record.
That is a political issue with the Congress. They made a
That's a
referral,
political
which
issue.
has gone absolutely nowhere. But there have been multiple investigations where the DOJ found that the nursing home investigation was politically motivated.
Okay, we're going to move on. We might have time to come back.
Just because something's politically motivated doesn't mean that there still isn't an actual crime there. Even if it caused someone to look into it, it doesn't mean. I mean, that's what happened to Bill Clinton. A shady land deal turned into Monica Lewinsky in the dress.
Right, yeah, it might be political, even though I really haven't heard that it is. I haven't heard anything about it being a political case. It could be, but that doesn't mean it's fake.
Right.
To it. I do need to move on to Mr.
May I just finish my rebuttal? But the Assemblyman still says he has no experience to do the job.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Sliwa, as founder of the Guardian Angels and as a radio host, you've been a well-known figure in New York City for decades. But you also lack substantial management experience. So how are you prepared to be the chief executive officer of New York City? You have 1 minute, Mr. Sliwa.
First of all, I created the Guardian Angels to provide public safety in the subways and streets when government was incapable of doing so. I didn't do it to get a title or a paycheck. Secondarily,
that's true,
I don't
man.
declare myself to be all-knowing. I will hire the very brightest and best in their fields who have dedicated their lives to trying to improve the city of New York or the state or the federal government or the private sector. But what I will say is, thank God I'm not a professional politician. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of no cash bail, which has been a disaster. We have the architect and the apprentice here of Raise the Age. My own son was almost killed because of that in a gang attack. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of Close Rikers Island, which would just release criminals in the street.
Get 'em.
Thank God I'm not a professional politician, because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face, and I will
Thank you, Mr.
resolve.
I'm going to keep track of points, bro.
Honestly, that was a really great response. Yeah, we could. I have a win-loss counter here. I could pull up.
Win-loss counter going. I want Cuomo's at -1. This guy's at 1. Madami's at 1.
Yeah, Cuomo -1 for sure. -1. So for wins, we'll just give him a loss then. We'll do a win-loss counter. 0, 1. How do you spell this guy? 1 second.
Curtis Sliwa.
Sliwa. What a weird name.
Sliwa.
Sliwa will give him 1 point.
He's got 1 point. He's got 1 win.
And then Mamdani.
I mean, technically he got both of them, so I think you should technically give him 2.
Nah, I missed it if he did. We'll start Mamdani out.
He dunked on both of them. He dunked on both of them over the cash bail and the Rikers Island thing.
I'll give him just 1 point. Max of 1 point per response. How about that?
I don't know, bro. He got 2 of them on that one. Either way, all right. Hurry up, Monks.
1 second. I'm editing my my win-loss.
Let's hear what the Guardian Angels man who refers to himself in the third person has to say.
Yeah, that is kind of weird that he does that, right?
He's a radio host. I don't think it's wrong. I think it's just another way to fill air. Fill the airs, make it sound like you're speaking longer sentences. I think that's a common tactic on radio shows.
Yeah, he is a radio host.
And he's older.
Yeah, he's very old, actually. I'm trying to... Sorry, just...
And, I mean, also, when people keep dipping in and out of, streams and stuff, it's in case people don't know who's talking, you refer to yourself in the third person so they know who's talking.
Oh, I see.
I think you need to fix that.
I don't know how to change the color of it, man.
Are you for real?
Yeah, I highlight the text, go to the color, change the color, it doesn't change.
Are you in OBS?
Yeah. Oh, here, I might have fixed it. Okay, I almost got it. Hey,
I'm gonna change the title to
oh yeah, by all means, fuck with it as much as you want. All right, I might not be able to keep this win-loss counter up.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on it.
Well, candidates, President Trump has expressed intense interest in this election and in all of you personally. Mr. Mamdani, the president called you, quote, my little communist.
My
Mr.
little
Sleeper,
communist.
He said you're, quote, not exactly prime time. And Mr. Cuomo, he has been critical of you, but said you have always gotten along. The president has threatened to cut federal funds to the city. And just yesterday, he killed the Gateway Project, the tunnel connecting New York to New Jersey. You've all promised to resist him in some way. What would you say in your first official call with the president to set the tone for your relationship moving forward? We'll give you a minute for this. We'll start with you, Mr. Mamdani.
Mamdani.
I would make it clear to the president that I am willing to not only speak to him, but to work with him if it means delivering on lowering the cost of living for New Yorkers. That's something that he ran his presidential campaign on, and yet all he's been able to deliver thus far has been prosecuting his political enemies and
fake
trying
news.
to enact
That's
the
fake.
largest deportation program in American history. And what
is he talking about? Letitia James, the girl who tried to prosecute him politically? Or what's he talking about?
distinguishes me from Andrew Cuomo is the fact that he has gotten on the phone with that same president, not asking him how to work together to help New Yorkers, or not telling him that he would refuse to back down to protect those New Yorkers, but instead asking him how to win this race. That's something I can do myself. I don't need the president's assistance for. And what I'd tell the president is if he ever wants to come for New Yorkers in the way that he has been, he's going to have to get through me as the next mayor of this city.
All right, Mr. Cuomo, we'll give you a little extra time, but I'd like you to answer this question.
Yeah, he doesn't
well,
like Trump, you can tell.
The president would be like.
Okay.
Yeah, that Letitia James shit is such bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
But he's has a distant relationship with the truth. I would say to the president in the first conversation, look, we have had many battles. We fought together every day during COVID, and the battles were bloody. And I'd like to avoid them. If you come after New York, you know what I'm going to do. You know it's going to be ugly. And my chances are almost 50-50, even though you're the president. I'd like to work with you. I think we can do good things together. But number one, I will fight you every step of the way if you try to hurt New York. Unless he weaponizes the justice system to go after the attorney general of this state, in which case you'll issue
the same bitch that weaponized the justice system to go after the president. Is that what you're talking about, Mamdani? Shut the fuck up.
A statement that doesn't even name the president. And no matter what you think about Donald Trump, you know that not even being able to name him is an act of cowardice. And that's what we would see from Donald Trump's puppet on the right over here.
I do want to get Mr. Sleeper, but Mr. Cuomo, I'll give you a few seconds to respond to that.
Yeah, I said political weaponization of the justice system is wrong. Both sides do it.
There you go, Cuomo. There you go.
It's wrong when
Letitia James does it.
Wrong when Comey did it to Hillary. It was wrong when it happened to Tish James.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo.
All right, that was a good answer.
Mr. Sleeper, your first official conversation with the president, what would you say to set the tone?
Well, first of all, there's high levels of testosterone.
All right, he would say, why the fuck didn't you endorse me? I was the Republican candidate, Trump. What's up with that, man? That's what he would say.
In this room. I've had a love-hate relationship with Donald Trump that goes back over 30 years. But I know one thing. We have Andrew Cuomo. We have Zoran Mamdani. They want to take on Donald Trump.
Right.
Look, you can be tough, but you can't be tough if it's going to cost people desperately needed federal funds.
That's
Zoran
facts,
Mamdani,
man.
The president has already said he's going to take $7 billion out of the budget right from the start if you're elected mayor. People are going to suffer in this city. People who need those federal funds. What I would do is sit and negotiate. I would say, look, Mr. President, we need that Gateway Tunnel. It moves millions of people from Washington, D.C. to Boston. But take away the Q train project. We don't need those 3 stations going from 96th Street to 125th. It's not an
New York, local New Yorker hot take. That's true. So those trains, there's 2 other trains that do that same route. And so he's saying you could eliminate part of that Q route and save some money. That's a good That's a good take. You totally could do that.
Necessity. Sit with the president and whoever.
There might actually be 3 trains that do that same route. 2 or 3.
Delegates and try to negotiate. But if you try to get tough with Trump, the only people who are going to suffer from that are the people of New York City.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa, thank you. Brief response, Mr. Mamdani.
You know, Mr. Trump is already suspending infrastructure grants to this city, and he's doing it in a blatant act of political retribution. And what it
well, there is a government shutdown right now. Don't forget about that, Mamdani.
requires is leadership that will stand up to him. And I disagree with Mr. Sliwa. We do need to extend the 2nd Avenue subway to 125th Street. It was a promise made to Harlemites decades ago.
Okay.
It's time to actually fulfill
Thank
it.
you, Mr. Mamdani.
Okay, quick question for each of you. Mr. Cuomo, you've been asked this before.
He mentioned my name. Don't I get a chance to respond?
Well, we got a lot of ground.
No.
Don't I get a chance to respond?
When was the last time you spoke with President Trump, Mr. Cuomo? You've been asked this before, and the last time you said you couldn't remember?
I believe it was during his assassination attempt.
So last year in 2024. Mr. Sliwa, when was the last time you spoke with President Trump?
Oh, many years ago, we were receiving awards. I was praising him for saving the annual Veterans Day parade. Those were the conversations that I had with him. Can I please respond? I was asked about the Q train.
Okay, real quick.
Mamdani?
I am the mayor of mass transit. We do not need a Q train. I'm in the subways every day.
Facts. He's right.
We
He's
have more than a
right.
capable system of transporting people.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
The infrastructure needs to be
Thank you,
fixed
Mr.
in the
Sliwa.
system that we have.
Thank you,
Mr. Mamdani, have you ever spoken with President Trump?
No.
Okay, there you go.
Such an apprentice.
Sally, thank you. Mr. Cuomo, a follow-up.
You're
to that.
fired.
President Trump has spoken positively about you and your candidacy, even as his Justice Department, as we've noted, is reportedly investigating you for allegations you lied to Congress over your COVID record. Given that dynamic, how would you be able to stand up to this White House? How are you not compromised? And just take into account that New Yorkers are troubled by what they view as a compromised relationship the current outgoing mayor has with the president.
Yeah. First, you're wrong when you say there's any investigation
You're wrong.
Of me. That's
You're
not
wrong.
true.
Do you have evidence there is no investigation?
I've heard absolutely nothing. Congress did a press release. They said they sent a letter to the Department of Justice, which they do routinely to generate press, and that's what that is. I fought Donald Trump. He investigated me repeatedly with the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice Inspector General said that it was actually politically motivated. That does not back me up. When I'm fighting for New York, I am not going to stop. And I'll tell you something else. If the Assemblyman is elected mayor, Donald Trump will take over New York City, and it will be Mayor Trump who runs New York City.
We have to move on. Just a very quick follow-up, yes or no. You're saying unequivocally the Justice Department is not investigating you, correct?
I've heard absolutely nothing.
They could be, and you might not have heard it. But OK, we'll move on. David?
Well, they could be, and you might not have heard it.
That's virtually impossible, by the way.
Shredded.
So, Mr. Cuomo, you did put out an ad the day after the news first broke in the New York Times that you were under investigation, calling it a political investigation, saying they were coming after you as they had to, after other Democratic politicians. You haven't denied this previously.
That the Republican Congress was. Yes, I believe they play politics with the justice system. Okay. I believe the Republican Congress does it. I believe Donald Trump does it. I believe the Democrats do it. And that's why I think people are sick and tired of the justice system and the politics.
If you think that there's no difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, then that's the candidate for you. If you think it's time to have a Democratic Party that actually stands up to Donald Trump and his billionaire-backed assault on working people.
Well, first
thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
You're not a Democrat,
candidates,
right? You're not a Democrat. You're a Democratic socialist.
We have
you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, right?
We have other ground to cover. We have other ground to cover.
That's an incendiary charge. I want to be very...
You may have a chance to address it, but we do.
Here we go. I got the win-loss up. I figured it out.
I'll be very quick.
You didn't say leave it blank in the Kamala
I'll be very
campaign?
Quick. I said leave it blank in the presidential primary because primaries are a place to air dissent. And like many Americans, I was horrified by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. And if you want to look for me on the ballot, you'll find me as the Democrat.
Mr. Mamdani, thank you. Gentlemen, we have to move on. This week, the world is reacting to President Trump's Israel-Hamas peace deal and the release of the hostages. And many are cautiously optimistic about a lasting peace. Of course, the mayor has no direct role in foreign affairs, and we certainly have a lot of questions for you about city matters. But this war has been a major topic in the campaign. And there are criticisms about your positions in the past and how you envision leading on these issues as mayor.
They're going to talk
We have
about
questions for all of
Israel.
you, but first, for Mr. Mamdani,
They're getting there.
something you said that's been generating headlines in the news today as we come into the debate. Yesterday on Fox News, you were asked if Hamas should lay down its weapons, key to the peace plan and ceasefire. And some say they found your answer confusing. You said, quote, "I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law." And that applies to Hamas, and that applies to the Israeli military. So for the voters tuning in tonight, Mr. Mamdani, what do you believe about Hamas and how lasting peace will be achieved? We know it's a complicated matter, but we'd like you to keep your answer to a minute if you could.
Of course, I believe that they should lay down their arms. I'm proud to be one of the first elected officials in the state who called for a ceasefire. And calling for a ceasefire means ceasing fire. That means all parties have to cease fire and put down their weapons. And the reason that we call for that is not only for the end of the genocide, but also an unimpeded access.
He said it. He called it a genocide.
I, like many New Yorkers, am hopeful that this ceasefire will hold. I'm hopeful that it is durable. I'm hopeful that it is just. And for it to be just, we also have to ensure that it addresses the conditions that preceded this.
We have a video on Trump's 20-point Gaza plan up on the channel. Go check it out.
Yeah, that's true. We got it. We got it. And he does make a good point. It's like, yeah, Hamas needs to stop killing the IDF, but the IDF needs to stop as well. You know, that's a solid point. Because that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I mean, we've already seen after the peace deal, Hamas is back to doing public executions because the IDF is not in Gaza. And so arguably, you could make an argument that it's actually worse that there's peace in Gaza right now. I wouldn't argue that, but you could.
Well, I mean, you know, public executions to the tune of how many versus
60,000, 67,000 is the estimate. Yeah, so exactly. But it's hard to be that guy that says I would rather have 15 public executions than a war. It sounds weird.
It sounds like the only thing worse is multi-track drifting on that trolley problem.
Yeah, it's a definitely the most complex like issue, I would say. It's very complex.
Like occupation, like the siege, and apartheid. And that is what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah. If I may, that means from the river.
He's got a great smile.
Out of this.
I'm sorry. When
it's a debate of three. Excuse me, Andrew. It's a debate of three. Do we acknowledge that? Three people?
Mr. Sliwa, go ahead, and we'll give you a second. Go ahead, Mr. Sliwa.
The President of the United States should have been applauded by you, Zoran Mamdani, and you, Andrew Cuomo.
Get him, Soa.
Brought together that international coalition that met in Egypt, that came from the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. I certainly applaud them for bringing peace to Gaza and trying to end the hostilities in the war between the Israelis and Hamas, so there can be peace between the Israelis and peace between the Palestinians. But you seem, Zoran, to be incapable of praising our president. And Andrew, you were incapable of praising our president.
Gentlemen, we have
Give credit where credit is due. He's brought peace to Gaza.
Yeah, gentlemen, we want to hear everything you have to say. We have other questions on this matter. Mr. Cuomo, please, brief response, because we do have other questions on this issue that you may be able to address. Go ahead.
I did applaud President Trump and his administration. I think it was a great accomplishment. I hope the peace holds. The Assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The Assemblyman will not denounce Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The Assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on occupation. That is code, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which is never acknowledged.
Spicy.
That is from the river to the sea. That's why he won't denounce globalize the Intifada, which means kill all Jews.
Let's give Mr.
I don't know what that is. Globalize the Intifada.
The occupation
He's just saying a bunch of buzzwords right now. He literally brought up Hassan Piker.
Which Mr. Cuomo has no regard for since he signed up to be Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense team during the course of this genocide. And I find the comments that Hassan made on 9/11
it's a conflict of it. All right. Give Mamdani a point right there.
Part of the reason why Democrats are in the situation situation that we are in.
I think I'd give
of being
Cuomo a loss
minority
too.
in this country is we are looking only to speak to journalists and streamers and Americans.
No, I think he
with
made
whom
good
we agree
points.
of every single thing that they
I think
say.
he gets a loss
We
for
need
when
to take
the
case to every
moderator
person, and I'm
said,
happy
so
to
you
do
don't
that,
know,
which
but
is
there
why I
could
was
be
on
an open
Fox News
investigation
yesterday
on you.
talking about how I wish it was
I think
more
he
like
gets a loss
NASCAR
for that
so we
one.
could see all the billionaires who are sponsoring
Okay.
this
All right,
wearing
all
the
right.
suit jacket.
Melissa
I'll
has
give
some-
it to
We're
you.
going to turn it to Sally, actually.
Yeah, actually, this kind of flows, and then we'll go back to Melissa. Mr. Mamdani, you told NBC's Meet the Press that you don't believe it's the role of the mayor to police speech. Your words about this war have comforted many New Yorkers, but they've troubled others, and I want to ask about some of this. There is your recent refusal, as we just discussed, to condemn the slogan, Globalize the Intifada, which many view as a call to arms. In 2017, you rapped lyrics praising the Holy Land Five. These are men who were convicted of supporting terrorism. How would you assure New Yorkers, especially Jewish residents who might be concerned about this, that you would be a mayor for all? You have 1 minute to answer this.
Space take.
Thank you for
the
this
space take
opportunity.
right now.
When I am speaking about the responsibility of leading this city, I mean leading not just those who voted for me, leading not just those who vote, but leading every single person who calls this city home. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers. And I have been so thankful for the opportunity I've had to sit with so many Jewish New Yorkers over the course of the primary and through the general. And it's in those conversations that I learned that this phrase evokes many painful memories. Memories of bus attacks in Haifa, of restaurant attacks in Jerusalem. And I heard from a rabbi about their roommate who was killed on one of those buses. And in hearing that, and the distance between that impact and the rationale that some use of saying it, of speaking about the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land, is why I said that I would discourage this language that I do not use. And what I'm looking to do as the first Muslim mayor of this city is to ensure that we bring every New Yorker together. Jewish New Yorkers, Muslim New Yorkers, every single person that calls this city home, that they understand they won't just be protected, but they will belong.
He didn't say he condemns it. He just said he discourages it.
Right. Yeah, but I do kind of believe him when he says he cares more about he does care about all New Yorkers. I do kind of believe him when he says that. But I don't know.
He's running against Cuomo. That's
yeah,
good enough
Cuomo
for me.
did bring up the Hassan Piker. Like he probably he probably is a supporter of Hassan Piker and like that Young Turks podcast. Like I'm sure he definitely is not an Israel supporter. He's definitely not going to pay a visit to Israel. And there are a lot of Jewish people in New York. That's kind of why it matters in the first place.
See, I don't know. It sounds like he was pandering right there towards the Jewish community in New York because
he was trying to, but they want to hear him say, "I'm going to go kiss the wall," and he's not going to do that.
I mean, the first step is saying that Israel has a right to exist. I mean,
sure.
which other country or other tribe or other civilization do people say they have a right to exist? I just don't understand that. But either way, let's keep going.
We will get to you. First, I'm going to ask a question of Mr. Cuomo. While you are a strong supporter of Israel, you have also been slow to develop a relationship with the city's Muslim community. You have called Mr. Mamdani a terrorist sympathizer. How do you assure those New Yorkers, especially Muslims and Arabic New Yorkers, that you will be a mayor for all? You'll have 1 minute.
Yeah, well, first, I think the assemblyman created the perception himself.
Just real quick, I love how he keeps calling Mamdani the assemblyman to bash on his credentials. It's so funny.
Why wouldn't he condemn Hamas? Why wouldn't he condemn Hassan Piker? Why did it take us here tonight for the first time for him to say
hit him with it? I agree. I agree with that.
Globalize the Intifada, which means kill all Jews. Just say, I denounce it. He won't do it. That's the issue.
Mr.
And his divisiveness
Cuomo, can you address the question
is
that we're putting to you? I think you've made the point, but can you please answer about your own relationship with the Muslim community? You did not visit mosques for many years. More recently, you have been.
Yeah, I don't think
system highlights. I understand that, but what I just mean, like, if you talk about any other like civilization or society, like no one says like the Navajo tribe has a right to exist, right? They were pushed onto a reservation wherever we wanted to, right? We don't say the Armenians, after they were genocide, and are fighting with Azerbaijan, have a right to exist, right? So I just don't understand why one class of people that donates a lot of money, one of the largest lobbying groups in the United States, I don't understand why they get a right to exist, but other countries, other people, other tribes who also went through terrible tragedies, I don't get why they don't have a right to exist either, or why no one says that about them.
Yeah, it's a good argument. You know, I mean, it's true.
Of the Muslim community, which is a vital community in New York City, and I am very fond of, and I've been working with. I think he's playing his own politics.
Yeah.
Many of his positions don't even follow the Muslim faith, so I see them as two totally separate things.
Mr. Mamdani, want to respond?
You know,
Yes.
it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 2 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except
You know,
that is totally false. I've worked with the Muslim community for many years.
Name a single mosque you went to.
Name one mosque.
Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here. They were
Before I was here.
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community. Imams presided over State of the States. We worked in religious working groups, tolerance groups, anti-Semitic groups, etc.
All right, Mr. Stewart, Rosarita has a specific question for you, but I'll give you a second
Zoran,
here
this is what disturbs me about you. You will be
Another loss to
celebrating your
Cuomo
birthday
there.
this week.
No, I honestly, I won't give it to him.
1991, I was in the streets of Crown Heights with the Guardian Angels for 30 days and 30 nights when the first Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, that's right, David Jenkins, was
what a
proud
nightmare.
member of the Democratic Socialists of America.
God.
Abandoned the Jews for 3 days. They were left to their own means. And we protected them for 30 days and 30 nights. Then your favorite mayor, Bill de Blasio, in 2019, abandoned the Jews again when they were being attacked in Williamsburg and Borough Park and Crown Heights. And I had to bring the Guardian Angels in for 30 days, 30 nights. Jews don't trust that you are going to be there for them when they are victims of anti-Semitic attacks.
All right, so Mr. Republican candidate is going hard for that Jewish vote. I'll say that.
Israel dollars.
Okay. Brief response, Mr. Mamdani. We have a specific question for you from Rosarita, but Mr. Mamdani, please.
I can give him a loss there.
Yeah, we'll give him an L for that one.
One of the most meaningful experiences I've had over the course of this campaign has been the conversations I've had with Jewish New Yorkers. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me about the door that they've had to lock that they had kept open for 40 years. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me on the M57 about an apartment the speech therapist was trying to sell when a realtor told her, put the Jewish books off the table. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me about their fear in living in this city. And I will be a mayor who finally addresses that, not through the theatrics of the politics on this stage, but through action. I'll do that by ensuring that we have police officers outside of...
It's a hard argument for the Muslim candidate to make that he supports Jewish victims. So that's a hard argument. And I really, personally, I don't see a lot of Jewish people complaining that they're victims in the city, in my opinion.
Unless they find a bunch of them underneath your store, then they're the victims. Why are your store above their tunnels?
We have a lot to get to, and we do have a specific question for Mr. Sliwa. Rosarina.
Thank you, David. Mr. Sliwa, you've called for tougher policing of pro-Palestinian protests, and you've suggested that Mr. Mamdani uses languages that is anti-Semitic. How do you assure New Yorkers that you'll be the mayor for all?
Semitic, don't make fun of her weird voice.
Well, I've been there for all people in all times for 46 years as leader of the Guardian Angels here and around the world. Whether it is a religious violation of people's rights to worship as they choose in a mosque, in a church, in a synagogue, or a shul, whether it's because of racial identity. Remember, in the summer of 2020, Asians were under constant attack because of the lockdown and
do Asians have a right to exist?
Pandemic. I don't remember Governor Cuomo coming to their aid.
Okay.
The governor
Glad we can agree.
I was out there going into all the neighborhoods, Flushing.
I don't get it.
We were in.
Does Israel have a right to exist?
Israel is not a group of people. Israel is a country.
Well, there's the debate. They're a religion and a race and a country.
Yeah, it's an ethno-state, right?
But
the Jewish people have a right to exist, definitely.
Just as much as Asians do and Native Americans.
Yeah, but that's not what we were saying. They're talking about Israel having a right to exist, right?
Which it does.
The country. Yeah, how many other countries that are no longer existing also should have a right to exist? Or why don't those ones get?
Right.
That's my argument.
No one asks. You don't see Navajo people going around saying, "Do we have a right to exist? Should we get our Holy Land back?"
Right. No,
So they're not going to get it
somewhere.
Yeah, and what makes them worse than Jewish people? Why just
Well, it's okay. They at least get tax-free casinos.
Hell yeah, they do.
And you can smoke in them.
Down in Bensonhurst, we were in Chinatown itself, where Asians were being attacked indiscriminately because they were thought to be carrying COVID. We protected them then. Governor, you were not there for them. De Blasio was not there for them. We understand hate.
Stop Asian hate.
In order to counteract hate, you have to get the community involved along with the police to protect people when they're under siege. Jews are under attack now more than ever before. And I don't believe either of you have the capabilities of protecting.
Are they though?
I kind of think that they are.
That is pure fiction. I passed the
Is it fiction? Jews aren't under attack?
The strongest hate crime law in the United States of America. We tolerate no hatred, no discrimination.
I think criticism and critique is not the same thing as being attacked.
Excuse me, and we're tolerant.
Yeah, 67,000 deaths in Gaza is not the same thing. There's a reason people have a problem.
No.
And we accept. If you notice, the assemblyman still won't say he believes that Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish state. He is a divisive personality all across the board. NYPD are racist. Barack Obama is evil, liar, and he gave the finger to the Christopher Columbus statue.
What did Barack Obama do to you? Trump's still trying to catch up to Barack Obama's deportation record.
Yeah, he needs to, I think, about double his deportations and get about 1 Nobel Peace Prize, and it'll catch up to Obama. He's still working on it.
That was brutal. Give a point for the Pipeline podcast on that one. Jesus.
Nah.
And attack again and again and again.
Thank you.
You're the reason for that. No cash bail.
Thank you.
Cuomo's the no cash bail guy?
There have been a number of absolutely unfounded lies that have been said by Mr. Cuomo. I would just like a moment to address them directly. I've said time and again that I recognize Israel's right to exist. I've said that I will not recognize any states. I said that I will not.
As a Jewish state.
If I would be allowed to finish, that I would not recognize any state's right to exist with a system of hierarchy on the basis of race or religion. I have made that very clear. And part of that is because I'm an American who believes in the importance of equal rights being enshrined in every single country, whether we're speaking about Israel or whether we're speaking about Saudi Arabia. You can stand here and you can lie all you want, but New Yorkers know.
We have the question. We want
to address some issues here.
All right, and we have another polarizing issue that we would love to discuss with you candidates. And let's talk about the National Guard here in the city of New York. Now, let's go back to Mr. President Donald Trump.
I want to preface this by saying the National Guard has been in the city since, I believe, the summer of 2024. So it's not a new thing.
Trump, one threat hanging over the city is the deployment of the National Guard troops, like he has done, as you all know, in other cities. The NYPD commissioner has rejected the idea as unnecessary, but the president ordered.
Again, the police department says the National Guard is unnecessary, but the National Guard is literally in the city right now protecting the subways. I just want to bring that up. They're already.
And how do you know that?
You can just Google it. There's a couple hundred National Guard members in the city. They've been here for a while, and they just make sure the subways are safe because there was a lot of subway crime. And you see them.
You're supposed to say that you see them, yes, because
you see
have
them on the
first-hand
subway.
experience because you live in New York and take the subway, so you see them.
The National Guard is already deployed in the city right now, and it has been for a long time.
Troops to hit the streets of New York. Now, how would you respond? Mr. Sliwa, you have a minute.
There's no need for the National Guard in New York. Kathy Hochul, the governor, when we had a crime crisis in the subways that I'm well familiar with, being down there all the time, unlike my two adversaries.
Guardian angels.
She sent 750 National Guardsmen down into the subway.
750.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, in 2024. They're still there. I think it's a couple hundred now, less than that.
Does anybody even say her name anymore? That woman who was set on fire by that migrant. As a result of that, the worst crime I've ever seen committed in the subway system, the governor did the right thing. She sent an additional 250 National Guardsmen, giving us a total of 1,000 National Guardsmen in the subway system. While our mayor, Eric Adams...
Which I would like to point out is less than what's in Chicago right now. Just like to point that out, and people are freaking out.
...was telling us it was all a perception. So Governor Hochul has responded. I would tell the President of the United States, since I'm familiar with cities all across America having guardian angels there, if you were going to send the National Guard, you don't need to send them to New York City. There are other cities that could desperately use their help.
Yeah, he's just making the case like New York City doesn't need the National Guard because he created the guardian angels and the guardian angels can take care of it. He's just saying, like, we fixed this issue on our own.
Well, I don't know.
In dealing with their crime crisis.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
If they fixed the issue, the National Guard wouldn't have been called there in the first place,
and
right?
it's true. They didn't fix the issue. I see the National Guard most days, but the guardian angels, if you see them, it's like a very rare event. There's not a lot of them.
You know, I agree with Police Commissioner Tish in that we do not need the National Guard here in New York City. We do not need...
Ask any person on their commute if they feel safer with the National Guard or unsafer. They will all say, oh, it's great. I feel safer on the subway. So shut the fuck up, Mondami.
Need them for the purpose of safety, because if it was safety that President Trump was so concerned about, he would send them to the 8 out of 10 states that have the highest levels of crime in this country, but he won't because they're all run by Republicans. What New Yorkers need is a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump and actually deliver on that safety. When Donald Trump sent ICE agents on people in Los Angeles, Andrew Cuomo said that New Yorkers need not overreact. That is the furthest answer that New Yorkers are looking for. They are looking for someone who will lead, someone who will say that they will have their back.
I want to see the mayor tell New Yorkers to support ICE. So I don't know what he's talking about. I think we disagree on this.
Someone who will actually fight for the people of this city. And that's who I am, because I'm not funded by the same donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term, which isn't something that Andrew Cuomo can say.
Thank you, Mr. Mondani.
First, the answer is
yeah, got him.
More National Guard. I put National Guard in the subways also. It's more NYPD is the answer. But the National Guard is not, he's not sending in the National Guard.
Oh, it's more NYPD. Why didn't you do that already
then?
Right, because it costs money.
He's trying to say these Democrats don't know how to run these cities, and it's a political gesture by sending in the National Guard. He has said if the assemblyman is elected, he will take over New York. Forget the National Guard.
But this is
he
the
has said, I'm going to take the funds.
If they order the troops to come here, what will they do?
Well, I went through this with him. He sent the National Guard to 20 cities when I was governor. You know what city he didn't send them to? New York. Why? Because I said to him, don't you dare, we don't need it, and he backed down, and he will again.
So that proves a good relationship
wait a second. The president is going to back down to you, Andrew Cuomo. I know you think you're the toughest guy alive. But let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
Listen here.
You have a difficult understanding that what the term no is. You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump.
I agree with Curtis.
You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump. And he can't stand up to Donald Trump, who knocked him right on his tuchus.
You negotiate
right on his tuchus.
Only the people of New York City will lose.
We do have stand up to negotiate.
We have a follow-up.
I'd like to see a show of hands. Are there any circumstances where any of you would allow the NYPD to cooperate with the National Guard if Trump sent them to New York?
That would be great. That would be great for the city.
No takers. Okay.
No takers.
Moving on, if history as a guide, National Guard troops in the city could trigger protests. And we have questions for each of you about how you would handle that.
Wait, like so even
Mr.
more
Sliwa,
National Guard is what she's saying?
Yeah, we should be scared of the National Guard, because if Trump sends the National Guard, the New Yorkers will protest, so the National Guard is the problem. That's the argument the lady is saying.
But we've just established that the National Guard is currently and
in
has
the city.
Been in New York already.
Yes, and there hasn't been protest, and in my opinion, they make the city safer. So I don't know what she's talking about.
All right.
Arrested for protesting migrant housing. and for trying to serve Mayor Bill de Blasio with court papers. How would your NYPD handle protests? And would you continue participating in protests as mayor? You have 1 minute.
Well, I have been arrested oftentimes in civil disobedience. That is a great American right.
All right, he gets a W.
Yeah.
He gets a W.
A Republican candidate has been arrested for protesting.
I know he was your favorite
I'll
mayor,
give it
so
to
I'm
him.
on Tommy. That you'd have to get a permit. There's a time period you were in a structured area. You get a sound permit. It could be turned around in a day. If there was going to be civil disobedience, you discussed it with the police department. And obviously, you had an opportunity of expressing your anger or your outrage at whatever it was that motivated you to sit down in the street, to block traffic or block an egress. Now we have rampaging groups that go running through the streets, that enter all kinds of facilities and violate other people's rights. And there's no one who's willing to stop it. When I'm the mayor, there are rules and regulations. Everybody has the right to demonstrate, but you can't violate other people's rights, or you yourself must be arrested.
Hell yeah.
I would remove the face covering.
Fair. Yeah.
Remove those face coverings. Why are you afraid of identifying who you are as a demonstrator?
I will say, if you're going to make the argument that demonstrators shouldn't cover their face, you do have to enforce ICE not covering their face as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Unless maybe you're an agent provocateur who's been sent in here to cause chaos.
Thank you. Rosarina?
The next question goes to you, Mr. Mamdani. You were arrested for blocking traffic in a pro-Palestinian protest, and you participated in a...
Real quick, I just want to say, blocking traffic in New York is a lot different than blocking traffic in other cities where there's a lot more space and people can just drive around. Blocking traffic in New York means that people might not actually be able to get home. It's a very crowded city. I just want to point that out.
Well, it also doesn't just block one street. It can cause gridlock in multiple streets, just with the way that New York people drive. It's a whole nother world there.
Yeah.
It takes you 40 minutes to go what is a 15-minute walk.
Yes.
It is crazy.
Yeah, specifically New York. If one road is blocked in the city, it really means the difference between someone going home on time or 2 hours late. It really is a big deal, and it's not like that in other cities. Just want to point that out.
But civil disobedience is civil disobedience, and you got arrested for it. You should give him a point.
I'm not giving him a point.
Well,
maybe that's my bias. I'll admit it.
Protesters offered blocked streets, bridges, and hubs like Grand Central. How much of that would you allow as mayor?
Blocking Grand Central for 2 hours would affect over 1 million people.
Yeah, it is. That's how you get. Hey, that's how you get your message out.
Part of what makes this city's history what it is. It is a part of the First Amendment. We deserve to have a mayor who stands up for that First Amendment, especially as we have a president that's looking to shred it at each and every opportunity.
He's right.
And we will continue to have protests in this city, as we should, no matter who is the mayor. And the line will be on the question of breaking the law. What we have today, however, is an attempt to intimidate so many who are looking to use that freedom of expression to share their opinions about the city and the world around them. And to be frank with you,
I disagree with that.
New Yorkers are looking for is someone who can show leadership in City Hall. Because when they don't see that leadership, that's when so many take to the streets. And if you had a leader like Andrew Cuomo, who was telling people not to overreact when they see ICE agents abducting girls as young as 6 years old to deport them, many New Yorkers will take to the
If you're in the country illegally, you broke the law, you got to get deported.
Streets. We deserve to have a leader who will actually be following through on the values of the city. That's the leader that I'll be.
Mr. Mamdani, just a quick...
It's I had this conversation with my mom the other day over some lunch, and it's just like Barack Obama deported way more people, and the only difference is he did it quietly. Like when everyone was talking about those kids in cages back during Donald Trump's first term, Barack Obama built those because of how many people he deported back when he was president. So,
yeah, he's the deporter-in-chief, the OG.
Yep. So, I mean, this is a common thread. You can go back. Democrats and Republicans have largely been pro deportation of illegal immigrants for the past 20 years. It's just now that there's a lot of social unrest about it, I suppose, but there's still no policies enacted by either people, either side to actually do anything.
Yeah, and it's even more complicated in New York too, because it's a sanctuary city too. So it's a hot issue.
But the federal government has jurisdiction everywhere.
Absolutely.
If it
Follow up, if you're elected, would you still participate in protests?
No, if I'm elected, I'll be the mayor, and I'll be leading the city from City Hall.
But no participation in protests, right?
The important thing is to lead from City Hall. That's what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Yeah. If I may respond, because I believe my name was invoked.
A very brief response, and then I have a question for you.
I dealt with ICE. I stood up with ICE. I had a war with ICE here in New York when I was governor. And I stood them down, and they moved out. What the assemblyman is saying is, he doesn't believe in law and order.
Assemblyman.
As a New York, yeah, that's so funny. He keep calls him the assemblyman. As a New Yorker, I would like to see ICE enter the city and not be affected negatively by the New York local government. I'd like to see the city government let federal agents do their job, and I feel like the American people kind of mandated that with the election of Trump. That's just my opinion.
He believes in defunding the police, disarming the police, disbanding the police. That's who he is. Abolish jails.
Sorry, I have a question for you. Okay, 15 seconds.
Very quickly.
No, we have to, and then we do just 15 seconds because we have a question for Mr. Cuomo.
Mr. Cuomo lies again and again and again. I am not running to defund the police. I am running to actually work with the police to deliver public safety. Andrew Cuomo says that he has stood up to ICE. He has not said a word about the abductions that are happening right now.
He's referring to a previous comment you made, and we will get back to this. But Mr. Cuomo, a question for you.
It's a comment he made. Is the operative language.
Yes, I understand. I said that. As governor, you put the National Guard on standby during the George Floyd protests. You didn't deploy them. As mayor, talk about how you would balance the right to protest with maintaining order in the streets.
The right to protest. The right to protest.
I will also say, New York. The protests in New York haven't been bad or anything. They're totally fine. They haven't gone over the top. So there's no crisis because of protesters in New York City. That's not a thing. Also, there's no crisis because of ICE in the city. New York really hasn't been affected by either of those things so far. But if Mamdani wins, we'll probably see that happen.
Is a sacred right. There is no doubt about that. But the law is the law also. And you have New Yorkers now who are afraid in this city. They're afraid of Donald Trump coming, they're afraid of that anarchy, and they're afraid of the anarchy in this city itself. We have to provide public
and the city is really
that
not that
makes
bad.
New Yorkers feel safe. Demonstration is one thing. Violating the law is something else. Blocking public transit is something else. Stopping.
I don't understand what he's saying.
Is something around.
He's saying I think he's saying there has been protests, but for the most part, the protests haven't been as bad as other cities. I think is what he's saying.
Oh, it just sounded like he was talking out of both sides of his mouth right there, saying
he is.
Yeah, it's bad. The people are afraid of Trump. People are afraid of migrants and crime and all that, whatever. And he's like, we just need police. That's what he just said. He's like, we just need police.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really disagree with that.
It's just a lot of words to say nothing.
Yeah, he isn't really making a clear statement.
Else, harassment, intimidation, that's a hate crime, that's illegal. Enforce the law. Respect the police. They're not racists, as the assemblyman calls them. They're not a threat to public safety, as he says. They're not anti-queer. They are here to protect New Yorkers, work with them, fortify them.
You know, that's ironic that you say that now,
I'm sorry,
Andrew Cuomo, because when you were governor for 8 years, your parole board released 43 cop killers back into the street. Okay. Your father, when he was governor, released none. I knew Mario Cuomo. You know Mario. Andrew Cuomo.
Mario Cuomo.
Don't say you're pro-police.
Do you want to respond briefly to the comments that Mr. Cuomo raised about things you've said about police? You can do a brief response to that.
I have been clear time and time again.
No, he
But
hasn't.
as much as Andrew Cuomo wants to bring up tweets from 2020, which is around the same time that he was sending seniors to their death in nursing homes, I'm looking to work with police officers, not to defund the NYPD, looking to ensure that
He
officers
flip-flopped
can
on that.
actually
That's
do
not what he
one
originally
job
said.
when they're signing up to join that department.
But he's
not
okay,
the many jobs we're asking them to
He
do
was
today,
specifically
but the mental
referring to
health
comments
crisis.
you made. We will come back to that, but we're out of
They
time.
are
This-
wicked
Melissa,
and
we're out.
corrupt
Candidates,
and racist.
we're moving
That's
on.
what you
Thank
said.
you.
Your words, your words.
We're moving on. Thank you. Despite record
We're
low
moving
crime
on.
numbers,
Thank
polls show
you.
that crime remains a top concern for New York City voters. The three of you have very different approaches to crime fighting and how to manage the NYPD. We want to get into your plans. So we'll start with this question. It's a two-part question, but it's short. How will you make
it's
the
a
city
two-parter.
safer?
Ooh,
And how will you
that's
change
complicated.
the NYPD? You'll have 1 minute. We begin with
It's
Mr.
short. What are you talking about?
I would add 5,000.
Hold on, really quick. Pause it.
Let's take a step back.
How do you plan to make the city safe and give us your policy? And you have 1 minute to tell us, and this is how we're going to do political debates.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Go.
all right,
You have 1
all right.
minute.
Yeah, this is not archaic or anything.
It
All right, go
is. Yeah.
Remember what happened. The far left, the socialists said defund the police, defund the police. They took $1 billion out of the police. The NYPD is now down at one of the lowest levels in modern political history. I would add 5,000 police, put 1,500 in the subways, raise the starting salary because you can't hire them. You can't even fill a class right now.
Who's going to pay for that?
And you have to add additional police officers because the attrition rate is so high. Part of that is going to be saying to the NYPD, I respect you. I don't think you're wicked, as the Assemblyman said. I don't think you're corrupt. I don't think you're racists. I value you. I will have your back. I'll be a mayor to work with you. That's how you're going to get the police to apply for the jobs. And then we have to work on the relationship between the community and the police. The police can't police the community. They have to
Thank
police
you, Mr. Cuomo.
with the
You're
community.
up next, Mr. Sliwa.
This is amazing. I'm
Such a
standing
half-baked
here
answer.
with my two adversaries, both of whom have threatened to
Yeah,
defund
Cuomo's
the
terrible.
police.
He's doing
You, Andrew
awful.
Cuomo, during the summer of 2020, you said if you
He's one of those like he represents like a Democrat from like he's like an Obama Democrat.
Yeah, he's a neoliberal.
Neoliberal. Yeah, he's one of those.
But no, he's also moderate. He is more of a moderate Democrat, though.
Which
I
is
mean,
just a neoliberal, right? I mean, I see them
Well,
as moderates.
neoliberals are also like super into taking PAC money from lobbyists.
And he
so,
is.
and then making pro-corporate. I don't know enough about Cuomo to call him a neoliberal for
just-
sure. But yeah,
he's
he's definitely a moderate Democrat. He would be considered a moderate Republican 30 years ago. Absolutely.
Yeah, you could claim he's a like a moderate Republican or a Democrat. He's right in the center, and he's not able to give he's not able to give his like true opinions on any of these issues. He just gives half-baked responses.
And has been throwing in buzzwords like Hassan Piker, then queer, and then he keeps saying
That's a good argument, though.
assemblyman.
I actually think he should try to force Mamdani to condone Hassan Piker. I think that would go a long way. He should go farther with it.
I in the realm of politics, I just don't care
Yeah.
about Hassan Piker.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
I don't think he's relevant, but
That's true. He's not in politics. It's true.
I mean, he's a commentator, but like, actual political role in government, I don't think that's a thing.
No,
Go
it's
ahead.
not.
you don't reform police departments, I'm going to defund you. And you certainly said that, Zoran Mamdani. We need 7,000 police. We only have 32,500. The problem in recruiting police, which neither of you are addressing, is that their insurance was stripped from them. The state, you did nothing when you were governor, and here in the city, 2021, the city council and Eric Adams did nothing.
I don't know
They
what he's
have
talking about.
qualified immunity, which you've benefited from, Andrew Cuomo, with the 13 lawsuits filed against you for sexual harassment. Tom DiNapoli says
13? Is that true?
$60 million. Why? Because you had your qualified immunity as governor, and yet people have stood by
Quick
as
response,
police
Mr.
have
Cuomo.
lost their
Dude,
insurance
this
that
guy
all civil
cooks.
servants have.
He's
That's
getting
why
busy.
we can't
Is that all
get
true?
recruits in because they're not insured. I will return their qualified immunity because they need to be protected like other civil servants.
That is not New York State. It's New York City on the qualified insurance, on qualified immunity. It's not insurance at all.
You are entitled to free legal counsel.
I will say I don't really support qualified immunity for police. I just think, you know, if you're going to be a police officer, do a good job, care about your job, respect the law, and you don't have to worry about that. But that's my opinion, you know, whatever.
I disagree. I think qualified immunity is important in some instances.
I kind of can get that. I kind of can. It does put a police officer at risk. Say you're trying to get your pension, work for 20 whatever years, and you fuck up once and it's all over. I understand that.
Because you have the responsibility of a gun. The government gives you a gun. Yep, you got to be responsible. If the government trusts you, that is a good argument. If the government trusts you enough to give you a gun, then they have to understand that 1% of the time you might make a mistake. The government says you're given the right to kill someone. So, I mean, I think that it's fair that they have very strict standards as to not be able to abuse their power.
Yeah.
They only recently got body cams, like, what, 15, 20 years ago?
And, from the Republican standpoint, you definitely want to bring that back to New York City, the qualified immunity. So I understand the Sillwall's take on it. I don't necessarily disagree.
Yes.
You have
all right, Cable, give us your rationale on that one. I'm just curious.
Immunity. It's not insurance. It's qualified immunity. It's nothing to do with insurance.
Okay.
So that protected you in all these lawsuits.
And yes, the lawsuits, because there was a report filed. I said it was political. It turned out to be political, and that's why
all 13 women were lying. Come on, Andrew. All 13 women were lying.
After 5 years.
A state trooper too?
Yeah, after
13 women and a state trooper.
5 years of
I'm going to
litigation.
move on.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Mr. Mamdani, how will you
once
make?
in a while.
Okay, Mr. Mamdani, how will you make the city safer, and how will you change
hold on. If you want to pause it,
he's like a wannabe Bill Clinton.
It says that a 2021 investigation by the New York Attorney General's office found that former Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women.
That's it? He's got to pump those numbers up if he wants to be mayor again.
So in January 2024's settlement with the state of New York, the U.S. Justice Department confirmed that Cuomo and his staff created a sexually hostile work environment that impacted at least 13 female state employees. So it sounds like it's sexual harassment, not sexual assault. Which, I mean, it's not saying that that's okay, but I'm just saying that, like, there's a big leap between saying, hey, nice tits or something, and being...
And like raping someone,
committing a bad.
That's
crime,
interesting.
Yeah.
I've literally never heard of any of that by Cuomo. I haven't heard of that at all.
Crazy.
Thanks.
Got a good PR team.
Hell yeah, he does.
For so many New Yorkers, and I'm proud to have a comprehensive plan to bring new ideas to this city. If you want more of the same, vote for Andrew Cuomo. If you want an actual approach to lower...
Ooh, this gets me to something I was gonna say. So we know what Cuomo will do. Absolutely nothing. New York will stay the same for X amount of years. But if you want drastic change, Mamdani is the guy that's going for that. And I'm not really saying either one is better or worse for the city. But that's what's going to happen, is what I'm saying.
Crime. Look at our Department of Community Safety. That is something that has been hailed by experts as addressing so many of the pieces of why New Yorkers are not feeling safe today. We will ensure that no longer are police officers asked to do the job of both policing and responding to the mental health crisis. We will have dedicated teams of mental health outreach workers in the top 100 subway stations.
So it sounds great on paper, but other cities have tried this and it ended up being just a waste of money, unfortunately.
With the highest levels of the mental health crisis and homelessness. We will ensure that cops can finally go back to the response times they used to have in 2020, closer to 11 minutes, as opposed to the closer to 16 minutes today, because they
16 minutes and 11 minutes are both too slow.
Won't be asked to respond to the 200,000 mental health calls that are coming in through 911 every year. This is evidence-based. It's been successful elsewhere in the country. It's time we deliver it right.
That claim that it's been successful is debatable.
here in New York City. It's time for a change.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Zora Mamdani, we already had it. It was called the Homeless Outreach Unit.
I'm sorry, this is not free for all. We have another question for Mr. Mamdani.
And Bill de Blasio funded them by taking $1 billion out of the budget.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mamdani. We're going to talk about disciplining police officers. The civilian watchdog that investigates police misconduct regularly recommends discipline for cops accused of wrongdoing.
Who is that?
But the police commissioner often overrides them. You want to change that policy so that the board has final say. Please explain to viewers in 30 seconds why you believe the police commissioner should no longer have that final say.
What I've said is that I think it's time to remove much of the politics out of the question of accountability. We have the Civilian Complaint Review Board, which, as you said, studies, assesses, and investigates into complaints of abuse and the violation of the law. And oftentimes, those recommendations are then subject to political pressures and not followed through on. I think New Yorkers deserve a system where they know it won't then be assessed once again, that there's actually more to the recommendation in the investigation that's being done.
I will say if he implements that policy, it will just reduce the recruitment numbers for the NYPD, because no police officer is going to want to have to deal with that. So it might be a policy that's in like he means well by it, but it might actually have a negative effect on the city. That's kind of how I see it. It goes back to that whole qualified immunity thing. You take that away and you let the board be run by citizens for like officer neglect. No one's going to want to police your city.
By the CCR.
Okay, we're wrapping up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Cuomo, do you believe changes are needed for how officers are disciplined? And are there any powers that you would give up as mayor? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, I would not remove the police commissioner from the CCRB. I'd leave it with the police commissioner. I think Commissioner Tisch is doing a very good job. I would trust her. The difference between me and the assemblyman is he doesn't like the police. That's why he won't hire more police when everyone else says we need more police. He wants to use social workers on domestic violence calls, which are very dangerous. And he's told you what he thinks. He thinks the police are racist, wicked, corrupt, and a threat to public safety.
Thank you.
Those are his words.
Very quick. Mr. Mamdani, very quick.
Look, Andrew Cuomo is a politician of the past, and all he can speak about are the tweets of the past in 2020. Those are tweets which I have apologized for to New Yorkers and police officers directly.
Yeah,
I
hope so.
They are not what I am actually running on, but you're incapable of actually speaking about the platform that we have here, which is one that will keep New Yorkers safe.
Can we just quickly ask you, because I think what some people feel they haven't heard from you, we hear you saying that you don't believe that anymore and you've apologized. People have not heard you sort of describe the evolution of your thought, how you got from there to here.
He wants to be mayor.
Growing up in this city, I would think often about safety and justice, and the ways in which that relationship has been irrevocably harmed.
Growing up in the city, I would think about safety and justice as a Muslim citizen. That's kind of what he should have said.
Harmed when I learned about the exonerated five, when I learned about Sean Bell, when I learned about Eric Garner, when I learned about Michael Brown. And then in 2020, when I wrote these tweets, learning about the death of George Floyd. And that was a moment where it felt...
And we're not going to get into George Floyd too much tonight, but we got to talk about it. The death of a career criminal by a police officer that might not have been so great is not really a hot topic we should be talking about. A better topic would be the death of Charlie Kirk, who was a very prominent citizen, whether you agree or disagree.
As if the distance between these two ideals had never been further. And in becoming an assembly member and serving and representing more than 100,000 people,
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Also deliver safety.
Any death like that is a tragedy, in my opinion.
Well, it's like you want to watch cities burn to the ground.
I know though.
It's just such a bad argument to make this George Floyd guy a hero. He might have died for like wrongful reasons, but that he was not a good person. That doesn't mean he was a good person. And you should burn down other cities and protest because of it.
No, man, it's just a reflection of the divisiveness of social media and the normal media, and then opportunists, and that's really all it is.
Well, yeah, it is
That's
crazy how
really
you
all
see
it is.
people on the left like champion George Floyd, but hate on Charlie Kirk when if you compare them as like contributing members to society, there is no comparison. And he wants to talk
Yeah, I
about
mean,
George Floyd, and
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I get what you're saying. I understand that sentiment. I just think I just think that the deaths of both are awful and terrible, but um,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
there weren't riots after, I guess, one person who was largely influential that you could say helped influence the younger generation to vote for Trump.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't see the same kind of reaction, right, to someone who actually made a community of something.
In this context, also, I can understand it a little bit more because he's talking about like police, and George Floyd was killed by police. Charlie Kirk wasn't, but still, it's just
Right,
it's such a bad comparison.
It's
that means
yeah.
leading
Well, I think a couple bad
you
comparisons
recognize
here.
the bravery of the men and women who joined the NYPD and put their lives on the line. It means representing the Muslims who were illegally surveilled in my district and the black and brown New Yorkers who've been victims of police brutality.
So, Mr. Sliwa, you've been out there, you've been on the trains, and I would like to know if you...
Black and brown people victimized for police brutality. If we got to look up the facts, they commit most of the crimes. It sucks, I know, but it's true.
You believe changes are needed?
Did someone say that?
No, I just said it.
Oh, Jesus.
Zoran, what you've suggested.
You can't.
Zoran, Curtis.
Yeah, you
can't say
can.
that.
It's a fact.
No violent crimes. They disproportionately represent a large amount of violent crimes specifically, and most of that, which you should give it context, and most of that is gang violence, which is killing each other.
Black on black crime.
Gang violence, but right, but goddamn.
Right, but yeah, you want to talk about why the police might have a bias? There is a reason. It's kind of what I'm trying to say.
I get you.
And, it sucks, but to ignore that is like close-minded, in my opinion.
Them with the guardian angels, they will be killed. They will be maimed. Number two, in dealing with emotionally disturbed persons that I have dealt with for all my years as a guardian angels. You need training.
Oh, but this is your name. Cable de Lulz, Cable de Luz. I'm sorry, I don't know how to read. I'm dyslexic. Yeah, Michael Brown did go after the gun of the police officer. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware.
The Department
That'll
of
get you
Community
shot.
Services is not about responding to calls
sure
of
will.
domestic violence. We are speaking about mental health
Depending
crisis
on
homelessness
the
crisis.
threat assessment.
These are the focuses of the work.
I've watched body
we have other
cams
questions for that a little later
where
in the debate,
white
but we want to
women
just
have
change the pace
grabbed guns and a bunch of cops dogpile them.
in New York City.
She still gets a shot off. She didn't get got.
Questions that
is something we could talk about. It's kind of unrelated, but like it is true. The police, if they see a big scary black man, they're gonna be more open to using like lethal force compared to like a frowny woman or something. You know, that is a real thing. It's kind of unrelated.
I digress.
Daily, so
yeah,
we want to know
same.
how much you spend a week on groceries. We'll begin with you, Mr. Cuomo.
How much do you spend a week at groceries?
Bro's got it. My daughters come over, but probably about $150
a week.
Mr. Sliwa?
Oh, I'd say about $175 with a gallon of milk, now $5 and always rising up. Loaf of bread, simple loaf of bread that used to be 99 cents. It's like $3 now. The price is too.
Mr. Sliwa,
it's too costly.
It's too damn high.
Yeah, I actually agree with Curtis on that. It is too costly. Now that eggs are
can
down
all
to
agree.
less than $4, though, my average spend every week
Give
is
them all a
about
win.
$125, $150.
We're all
Do you
friends.
carry
Common
credit card
ground.
debt, or do you pay it off every month? Mr. Mamdani?
I pay it off every month.
They didn't hit on the real
every
issues. The real issue is it's beef right now. It's not milk. It's not eggs. It's not bread. It's actually beef. Go to the grocery store in New York and just look at those selections.
And here's a professional financial tip, not advice, a tip. You should definitely pay off your credit card every month if you can, and then if you have money that you would normally spend, and that you would have the money to pay for, anyways, you should get a credit card that has points of some kind, because it's basically like 1 to 5% off of all of your purchases. You pay it off every month. You don't let it carry over to the next cycle, and you get free money. A rewards card. That's what it is. All right, continue.
Mr. Cuomo.
Paid off.
Mr. Sliwa.
I don't have a credit card. I have a debit card.
No, you should have a rewards
for the
card.
record,
Yeah, take advantage
what is your
of
monthly
it.
rent or mortgage, Mr. Sliwa?
About $3,900. It's not subsidized there. So
I will say $3,900 in New York, if he lives on a dual income salary, is pretty average.
Mr. Mamdani, what is your monthly rent or mortgage?
$2,300.
Mr. Cuomo.
He has a rent stabilized apartment that a poor person's supposed to have.
What
Mine
the
is
my God.
$100.
Hey, bitch, I got a rent stabilized apartment. What are you trying to say? You trying to say I'm poor, so I should vote for you? What the fuck is that supposed to mean? That's a loss for
We are actually
Mamdani.
getting to
We're gonna cover that stuff.
Or for
No, that's a
Cuomo,
loss.
sorry.
Thank
For
you.
Cuomo.
We're going to talk a little bit
What the
more
fuck
about
did he just
the
say? He
runaway
let
in
it
this
out.
city.
Can
Mr.
you
Mamdani,
rewind
you're
that?
pledging to
Yeah, we can
Let's get an
rewind that.
instant replay.
Let's
Oh
get a
my
replay
God.
of that.
What is your monthly rent or mortgage?
Jesus Christ.
Mr. Cuomo.
He has a rent stabilized apartment that a poor person's supposed to have.
Oh
Mine is about
What the fuck did
$7,800.
he just
We're
say?
actually getting to
We're gonna cover that subject. It's Sally.
Thank you. We're going to
Cuomo knows his voter base, I'll say that.
talk a little bit
Oh
more
my.
about the runaway rent in this city. Mr. Mamdani, you're
Jesus
pledging
Christ.
to freeze rent for nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. That really affects less than half of all rentals in the city. What is your plan for those who aren't in stabilized apartments but are struggling to pay the rent? What are you going to do for them?
Well, I'm proud to
Hard
say
question.
that yes, we'll freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, and I will also build 200,000 truly affordable homes across the 5 boroughs over the next 10 years to ensure that tenants, whether rent-stabilized or market rate, can actually have more housing such that they are not being priced out of this city. And finally, I'm also going to make it easier for the private sector to build housing in this city, because what we see today is
All
that
right,
it's
I
not
can get
labor,
behind that.
it's not materials, it's the weight that is often costing so much to actually build the housing we need.
Zoning and permits and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, gotta get all your
The
permits.
cost
Yeah.
of maintaining a
Inspections.
building change year to year for landlords.
Yeah, you
The
gotta
rent
wait on the
guidelines
city
board
to
is
come do
legally
their
required to consider
inspections.
those
Yeah.
costs when deciding
Then you
whether
gotta
to
get your
freeze
own
rents.
inspection.
So how can you promise a rent freeze today
Oh, I don't know if
before
that's
ever
actually
seeing
a
that
law
data
in New
next
York.
year?
You know, we've
Well, there's just a lot of bureaucracy around it.
seen the data time and again. It's
But next
data
year's data.
It's been data that's been overruled by mayors again and again. The last Rent Guidelines Board study showed that profits were up 12% for landlords of those units. And what did they do? They raised the rent, adding to more than 12% under Eric Adams' administration. What I'm
every
speaking
year
about
they raise
is
the
actually
rent.
reflecting
Even on the
needs of
stabilized,
these New Yorkers
apartments.
and the state of the market today. These are New Yorkers who have a median household income of $60,000. We do not need to be pushing them further out of the city. We need to keep them in their homes.
Aren't you saying in that answer that you are going to prejudge? You will not have seen the data for next year, and you're making a determination based on data you haven't seen.
I've seen the data year after
Yeah, you
year of the
poor
fact that
apartment
salaries
liver.
are stagnating,
Based
costs
on
are
the
up,
current
New Yorkers can't actually afford their apartments.
If I could get a job, you
I will
hippie.
also take action to actually ensure that the landlords of those
right,
buildings
we're
can
at
better handle
time.
their costs by
It is-
taking on their insurance,
It is
their property
based on
taxes,
annual
and their water
data,
bills.
and you haven't seen next year's data
Mr.
yet, but
Cuomo,
we're going to.
I have a dramatic solution. Get rid of landlords. Make it so every apartment building is a co-op. Problem solved.
Yep.
Whoa, is that
Ugh.
crazy?
A lot of
Another
people
question
would
for
lose
you
a
on this
lot of
subject.
money
You
on
have
that one.
proposed something
Just
that
the
you're calling
landlords, who
Joe
cares?
Ryan's Law. You think that Mr. Mamdani earns too much to live in his rent-stabilized apartment, though I should note that there are no income tests for
Rent-stabilized, yep,
apartments.
she's
but
right.
critics say your plan would force people to pay too much of their income towards the rent. So if you think Mr. Mamdani is gaming the system, what about the other New Yorkers,
Yes.
thousands of them just like him, who earn similar salaries, who are living in
Ooh, she got him.
I also got to say, Mamdani's not gaming the system. He's just living in one of the few places that are actually affordable in the city. That doesn't make him. That doesn't mean he's taking advantage of the city.
similar apartments? What
Okay,
would-
just to follow up on what Sally was saying, because she's right. This is not a new plan that the Assemblyman's talking about. It's Bill de Blasio's plan. It was
That's
called
why-
Freeze the Rent. Bill de Blasio says
you wanna pause
the
it real
mayor
quick.
can't say,
That's why Andrew Cuomo had to pause and think, and he said $150 on groceries, because he's like, he's equating that money to like probably 10 years ago. And he's like, oh yeah, that's about how much it is.
It's like honestly,
Jesus Christ, so out of touch.
150. You could do $150 a week on groceries. That's actually pretty reasonable.
Look at that bro's suit and look at that bro's watch.
Well, yeah, he spends way. He doesn't even buy groceries. Like that's obvious, right?
You think he's only paying $150?
No, he eats out at like nice places every night, I'm sure.
Well, that's the thing. You go and eat out at a place, there goes a good portion of your budget. $150.
The places he goes to, yeah, it's $150 for a dinner.
Legally, he's going to freeze the rent. There's a rent guidelines board. There are certain considerations that have to be looked at. You're right, Sally. You can't say today what it's going to be in 4 years. Also, freeze the rent only postpones the rent because then you have to have an increase to cover the costs. Otherwise, the building is going to go bankrupt. And it does nothing for the majority of renters who aren't in these rent-stabilized units. There's nothing for NYCHA. There's nothing for homeowners. There's nothing for people in black-brown communities who are getting priced out. I was the HUD secretary. I built affordable housing all across this nation. I built affordable housing in this city when I was in my 20s. I know how to get it done. I will get it done. On the rent-stabilized units, what I'm saying is those are the precious units, and we should keep them for the most rent burden.
We have to move on.
But I have a question.
My brother-in-law says that the biggest issue right now is no one wants to build houses. That's the problem. That's the housing crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're gonna build a new like apartment complex, are you gonna build a high end or an affordable housing one? What one will make you more money? You're not gonna make
it.
Why would you build affordable housing when you can just build a nice fancy high rise in New York City and people will rent it?
That's all Ann Arbor's become.
That's all anywhere. Any valuable city will become. They're incentivized to build expensive apartments, so you pay them more money each month. They're not incentivized to build affordable housing for the people that live in the city. There's not enough incentives for that.
That's why you get cops and other people and vital workers that can't even afford to live in the cities that they work.
Which, in my opinion, is a problem. If you have like police and firefighters that live in their district, they'll care more about their community, and to price them out will actually increase crime.
Or bad relations with the community, negative relations with the community.
Sure, yeah, it'll incentivize them to be a little corrupt, take bribes,
Well, I guess I would say that there's more positive community outreach and communication when you actually live in the place that you're policing or providing care at.
And let's just all be honest with ourselves for a second. Landlords don't actually do anything. Like the community that lives inside the complex, if they wanted to, could figure it out themselves how to upkeep the building. That's all I'm saying.
That's what a co-op would be. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, co-op works just as well as a landlord, but the co-op
just cut out the middleman.
Yeah, and then you actually get some equity where you live. Like it negatively affects one person and everyone else benefits. So it's like,
one crisis in this city, the housing crisis, the answer is to evict my wife and I. He thinks you address this crisis by unleashing my landlord's ability to raise my rent. If you think that the problem in this city is that my rent is too low, vote for him. If you know the problem in this city is that your rent is too high, vote for me.
If I understand it correctly,
Sons of millionaires need subsidized housing.
Would not evict Mr. Mamdani.
It would not evict.
It would apply to people applying for apartments.
But the tenant
I think Cuomo is saying that Mamdani's dad is a millionaire.
Made it up. It would evict no one. This would be income limitation on the rappers.
I have a question for Mrs.
This is like a spat in the schoolyard. Let me see.
Rosarina has a specific
the Republican chimes in.
I wanted to talk about affordability and obviously address that issue.
So you've proposed, Mr. Sliwa, plans that would make a point of talking about the struggle of renters and property owners. Describe your plan to help renters and landlords.
Well, first of all, we have 6,000 available apartments that the mayor controls in NYCHA, and they've been empty for years. That you address, number one. Then we talk about senior citizens who are living here. My whole goal is to improve and not to move. I'm concerned about the seniors, especially those that own homes. If they're 65 and make less than $250,000, no property tax.
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Because the property tax is way too high. We need to cut it in half to keep people who are here. And then in terms of rentals, we have affordable housing that can be built in these huge skyscrapers. You see them all throughout Manhattan and in northern Brooklyn and in Long Island City, which we have 25 Empire State Buildings full of commercial space that will never be occupied for office space. We should be converting them into affordable apartments. They're in dense areas.
He's
the
right.
Infrastructure can support it. I'm the only candidate here who's against the city of Yes that would destroy residential neighborhoods.
I have to interrupt you because we have a programming moment right now. We're about halfway through the mayoral debate. Channel 4 and Telemundo 47.
I just want to point out you have female, 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 black man. That does not represent the majority of American voters. And that's just weird to me.
We'll return to regular programming, but we got a lot to get to, and you can continue watching live on NBC New York, Telemundo 47 streaming and digital platforms, Telexitos, Politico.com, and YouTube. Stay with us.
Real quick, too, I do want to talk about what Silwa was saying. So after COVID, there was a lot of businesses that went work from home. And so a lot of these skyscrapers are like half empty or just not. There's a lot of units, like retail units that aren't being rented. And what he's saying is, hey, we manage these skyscrapers properly and turn some of them into affordable housing, and boom, you got 6,000 new units for free. And it's not a crazy take.
MetroCard, I mean, I have one.
Not at all.
I know.
That makes
hanging on to
sense.
the last
So
moment.
you're on the subways, Mr. Sliwa. What do
You know,
do?
that's one of
I'm
the
just
big
curious.
pushes
If
for
you don't-
return back to work is that so many businesses lose out on money. Like all the restaurants and a bunch of like bars anywhere around city centers lose out on a bunch of money when people work from home.
Yep. Yeah, you want everyone to go commute to the city, buy lunch in the city, go work in your office that your company is paying a retail lease for, which are more expensive than like personal rental leases, like all of that. But you really don't, it's one of those things, just like a landlord, you don't really need it. So you could turn it into affordable housing. Would that affect the economy positively or negatively? I don't know, but it would allow more people to get housed in the city.
In fact, I got a whole batch.
Okay.
I'm in the subways, I'm in the buses, and the express buses. The only candidate who rides mass transit every day.
Hell
when you need to
yeah.
get somewhere fast and you can't take the train, do you hail a taxi? Do you use rideshare?
You use Uber.
What do you do?
I try to avoid yellow cabs. As you know, I was shot in the back of a yellow cab in 1992
Jesus Christ,
by
what
the Gattis and Gambinos.
Yeah.
You got shot by the Gambinos?
They had an assassination. He had
What
an
do you do, Mr. Mamdani, if you
assassination
can't take
attempt.
the
What
train?
the fuck?
I would either take
That's
a cab or ride
crazy.
a bike.
Mr. Cuomo?
I will take a cab.
That's at least what Wikipedia said.
Bikes, the worst part is the electric city bikes cost about as much as a cab, which is unfortunate because they're both overpriced. Yeah,
That's crazy.
it is crazy. It's $2.90 to take the subway home, about $20 to $30 to take the city bike or cab home. But usually the cab is a little more expensive depending on the time of day.
Uber? Okay. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Sally?
Thank you, David. Let's talk about free buses. Mr. Mamdani, this is a centerpiece of your campaign. Can you explain how you will make buses free? You have 30 seconds to answer.
Absolutely. We will make buses free by replacing the revenue that the
30
MTA currently
seconds.
gets from buses. This is revenue that's around $700 million or so. That's less money than Andrew Cuomo gave to Elon Musk in $950.
Also, real quick, my apologies, but the MTA bus drivers don't enforce you paying for the bus ride. And if they did, the MTA might not be in a deficit.
$59 million in tax credits when he was the governor. And the reason that we will do so is that making buses free doesn't just provide economic relief, but also public safety. Because what we've seen is that it decreases assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%.
All right,
Deserve
all right.
more than the slowest buses in the country. I know that because I was on the M57 not too long ago, and its average speed is 4.9 miles.
That sounds like you got to carry as a bus driver in New
We will
York.
fund
Well, it's like he calls them the slowest buses in the country, but it's most likely the most diverse bus route in the country, like bus routes. So I think that's a bad argument. But yeah, I mean, if bus drivers are getting attacked, I understand why it would be hard to enforce a fare, and that maybe making it free would make it safer. But again, you can't just give everyone free buses. Who's going to pay for that if no one's paying for the bus ride? You need to find a way that you can enforce payment on every bus ride.
Well, it sounds like Mandami is about to explain to us how Cuomo pissed away a bunch of taxpayer money anyway. So I'm just saying, why can't we piss away taxpayer money on something that's actually useful for once?
We could. Yeah, we could if you do it right. I don't know if Mamdani would do that properly. If he's able to.
The revenue that would have otherwise been brought in from fares.
Yeah, we'll see.
And that's something that we would do in partnership with Albany. And I've put forward 2 proposals. The first is to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers by 2%.
Okay. I like that.
$1 billion. The second is to raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, which would raise $5 billion.
We're going to move along.
That's dangerous.
Governor Hochul has opposed
that might cause businesses to not want to go to New York.
We'll move on to your
it might.
To make or break a business
half the people don't pay their bus fare to begin with, Zoran. And so it's Zoran, it's a complete disaster. If you have free bus fare, and the Citizens Budget Commission said just last year, 2024, $1 billion of fare evasion in all different forms.
That's what I'm saying.
This MTA system
if MTA got that $1 billion, they wouldn't be in a deficit.
Money out there to make up for fare evasion. Pay your fare. If you don't pay your fare, they have fare programs for the poor and the indigent.
And everyone who doesn't pay their fare, I just want you to be aware that you're taking advantage of everyone that does things properly and does pay their fare.
But everybody should be forced to pay their fare.
Mr. Cuomo, you had both praise and some criticism from Mr. Mamdani's free bus pilot. So you're sort of in the middle on this issue. What's your plan to make subways and buses more affordable?
I think free buses is a mistake. It costs about $700 million. Just to give you an idea that we only raise about $500 from congestion pricing. It's been done before in other cities. It was a disaster. They stopped.
It was a disaster in New York. They stopped it in New York.
Mobile homeless. Gathering places. What I say is free buses for working families who can't afford it and free subways for working families. But don't subsidize rich people on a bus. And
rich people don't take the bus.
And it's failed.
It has been tried and it has failed. He's right about that.
The mobile homeless gathering places?
You know, this is something that we heard when we were fighting to make buses free in Albany when we delivered the first fare-free bus lines in New York City history. And what we saw is when we made one bus route free in each borough of New York City, there was no increase in homelessness on those buses. There was no increase in fare evasion in the surrounding area. What there was an increase in ridership of up to 38%.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Yeah.
Candidates, maybe we can dig deeper on this and get a sense of how all of you would pay for your big ideas. Mr. Mamdani, we'll start with you. We've obviously been talking about free buses. You've talked about free childcare, city-run grocery stores. So essentially, you're proposing about $10 billion in new spending. And as you've indicated, you want to pay for it with tax increases. But as Sally pointed out, Governor Hochul said no to raising income tax on millionaires. So tell New Yorkers tonight how you're going to pay for all of this in 1 minute, if you can.
Look, a lot of people have called even my campaign a non-starter when we first began. And now I stand before you proud to be the Democratic nominee who got the most votes in city.
He's not a non-starter. He just has radical ideas. And if you want to accept the radical ideas, you have to understand that the change in the city is going to be drastic, and it's not going to be the normal, like, go of the flow. That's kind of how I see it.
Primary history.
And changes need to come drastically. We need changes
Sometimes
now.
They do, yeah. And exactly. And it is true. Sometimes a big change is better than, a little change over time.
Martin Luther King said, don't be seduced by the tranquilizing drug of incrementalism or something like that.
Right. And if we look at, there's other comparisons, even the stock market, if it stagnates, it's bad. But if it goes up and down, but, over time ends up going up just a little bit, it is actually better. So it's hard to say like what he's trying to do is actually a bad thing, but it's a drastic thing. And people need to understand the implications of that.
With our push to ensure that we are taxing the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations the fair amount that they should pay. Now, there are those who will say that because it will be hard, you should give up. We saw what giving up looked like when Andrew Cuomo was the governor. He gave up on fighting for working-class New Yorkers and instead caved in to his billionaire donors. And what did we get? We have the fastest and most frequent helicopter service to the Hamptons, and we have the slowest and more expensive bus service across the 5 boroughs.
All right.
I know Governor Hochul
Not
indicated
bad.
there may be some open windows, but more or less income tax on millionaires is off the table, according to the governor.
Look, I've said very clearly, making buses fast and free costs about $700 million a year. Making universal child care a reality costs about $5 or $6 billion a year. If you raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, you'd be raising $5 billion in and of itself.
I have a couple of follow-ups. Mr. Sleeper, you're next, but I have a couple of follow-ups.
I would just add one additional thing. We have also put forward a plan to save money here in New York City with $1 billion in savings through procurement reform, through following the independent budget office's assessment about hiring more fiscal auditors, and in actually collecting the fines and fees from bad labor.
Yeah, we'll have to double check all these things, because will all those things actually create a surplus in the budget?
No, probably not.
To pay auditors? I mean, I don't know either.
Landlords across the city.
Just a quick couple of follow-ups. If you could find some of the funding, but not all of it, which of your priorities would come first? What would be the first among equals that you would try to get done?
Well, freezing the rent doesn't require any fiscal infusion, so that will be something we'll be pursuing immediately. And universal child care, after housing, is the second cost. Child care is the second cost pushing New Yorkers out of this city. $22,500 a year.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay.
And I will say, coming from like a populist perspective, freezing child care is a good idea, because it will encourage, Americans to have more kids, and that is a good thing.
That will be a priority for us.
And I just want to know, if you could get the money and funding elsewhere, would you drop the call for the tax increase?
Absolutely. The most important thing is funding.
He does have a good smile. That's why he keeps doing it.
Hell yeah, dude. He looks great.
Jolly.
He looks great. Absolutely. He's a politician.
If the money comes from elsewhere,
okay,
the most important thing is funding.
Melissa has a question for Mr. Sliwa.
Mr. Sliwa,
Look
you've
at
been
that.
talking about
Look at that. God damn, he looks good, dude.
And how would you pay for your programs like 7,000 more cops?
Well, Zoran, boy, your fantasies are never going to come about in terms of funding everything you want. It's going to be free, free, free. It's a fantasy. Let's deal with it.
It's a fantasy.
7,000 cops. You already have a plan in Boston where you for taxes in the future. This is a great plan in which universities and others who have bought up properties that are now taken from the real estate market and taken from property tax paid. We could raise $1 billion from Columbia University, NYU, that are in the real estate business, and Madison Square Garden, your friends, Andrew Cuomo, Jimmy Dolan, who pays no property taxes. That's how you raise $1 billion to get 700 police officers trained, vetted, and out into the streets in the 5 boroughs. And then the police will be on the subways, and they will be patrolling the old-fashioned way where they're needed, going up and down the moving subway cars where people want to see the visual protection, especially women who are being assaulted.
Well, that'll get.
I will say this: he's exactly right on that. It's the woman.
I mean, that'll also get the National Guard out of New York.
Yep,
right?
You wouldn't need them. And as a Republican, this guy is so he probably would rather have his New York City police force patrolling the subway rather than the National Guard. Make it more state-controlled, city-controlled.
That just makes sense to me.
But he hit on the main point there. It's the woman. There's no woman in the city that really feels safe late at night taking the subway, and that is a huge issue. That's the root of the problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
We saw this morning on 86th Street a woman with a gun to her head, an armed robbery because we don't have enough cops.
I have a question for you in this topic, and let's talk about history, because as governor, you raised and cut taxes. Now you're proposing some tax relief. What's the price tag for your proposals?
No,
and
Mamdani was good. I'd have to give them both a W.
5,000
I can give both of them a W.
You have a minute to answer.
Yeah.
Cuomo's about to catch another L.
Yeah, Cuomo did not have a good answer there.
Every time he opened his mouth.
It's just neo-lib rhetoric.
Albany's going to raise taxes statewide on corporations, but the money's only going to go to New York City. That could never happen. It's not just that the government wouldn't
great.
support
Now
it.
tell us your
It's
policy.
impossible.
Yeah, please.
He said he's going to raise the taxes the same as New Jersey, corporate tax. No, it would be double the tax. You would see New Yorkers on I-95 fleeing to Florida. We would be alone. So you have to be realistic with revenue. You have a $115 billion budget. You have to go through that city budget and find savings. I started the state, which is double the budget of the city, it had a $10 billion deficit. I closed it and added services. And we can do the same with New York City.
Governor, as mayor, you would not increase spending in the New York City budget? Yes or no?
There would be, whatever additional spending would be revenue neutral.
So
It's
you find
impossible.
money
You got
somewhere else
to
in the budget.
cut taxes for people to stay here.
Thank you.
Corporations are
David?
not going to
Yes.
stay here. They're
Okay.
being lured
right, thank you.
south
Sorry.
to cities that are more corporate
we wanna
friendly.
get-
That's right about that.
All right, Mr. Sliwa,
Well,
thank
that's
you.
a bigger
Those
policy
who are
issue,
19
but like Mexico, they'll go to Mexico, they'll go to well, even just Texas or places like that with less taxes.
But yeah, you increase the taxes, and there are going to be businesses that leave the city. That's just a fact.
To 28
Sliwa,
skill
thank
levels
you.
if they go to school here.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
Andrew Cuomo thinks it's all right to spend $60 million to fund his legal defense from accusations of more than a dozen women of sexual harassment. But if I say we should spend the same amount of money on delivering cheaper groceries
wow.
in the city
Get
through a
him.
pilot program,
Mr. Mamdani.
that
Thank
is
you.
unfathomable.
All right.
Well, that's a L or W for someone right there.
We'll give Mamdani an L
against you.
or a W. Sorry.
Which I said was political.
Maybe
Well, those
Cuomo
are
an L.
generated
by
the
individual
legal fees.
women, and some of them
Bro,
have
he
still
just
been making
he
their
just
way through
said
the
that
courts
the amount of
this
money
year,
for
and
one of my
Yes, and I've been
plans
dropped from the
is what you
cases.
used
Not
for
all of
your
them.
Yeah. And
public
what the
taxpayer
Assemblyman doesn't say is,
paid
all this
for
money that he
defense.
wants to
All
pay.
right.
The one thing he did do is he voted for a pay raise for himself. They're the highest paid
We have to cover
legislators
another
in
issue.
the
As a
United
fact
States.
check, I did ask
And
the
he has
state
the worst
controller's
attendance
office
record.
this week. I did ask the state controller's office this week. The total was above 60 million, but just those sexual harassment cases to defend Governor Cuomo and his staff was about.
If you're watching this right now, have you ever heard of Cuomo's sexual harassment cases? Because apparently he had like 11 or whatever, and I've never heard of any of these. So I'm actually surprised by this. I don't know anything about this.
21
Sorry, it was the
million
sexual
dollars.
harassment
I
and
just want to
nursing home
clarify
cases.
because you said 60, but
All right,
on those cases it was 21.
Okay. Thank you. We have to talk about quality of life in the city. Let's turn to everyday life in the city and some issues a mayor can directly impact. We start with a couple of questions about 311.
Public safety.
The number New Yorkers call or text for non-emergency help. First off, have you ever called 311, and if so, for what? Mr. Mamdani?
I called 311 for issues with my heating in my apartment, and I've spoken to New Yorkers time and time again who are frustrated by the fact that they can track their Uber Eats block by block, but when they call 311 for them to come to their apartment, it's just a question of hoping and praying that they do. There's no actual appointment. That's something that we would change.
All right, Mr. Sliwa, have you ever called 311?
You know, there used to be that song 911 is a joke by Public Enemy. 311 is a joke.
Yep.
You can call it over and over and over again, and
Have
you
you-
never get
have you
a
ever?
response.
Have you?
The analytics are when the operators talk to you,
Mr.
as I
Sliwa,
talk to them.
have you called?
Yes, I've called them many times and gotten
Okay.
no response.
Mr. Cuomo?
Most citizens I talk to,
like,
in
do you not hear me
subways and
bitching
streets
about it right
never
now?
get
They're the people that you call when you want to get out of a ticket. So say it's not your trash day and someone puts trash in front of your apartment or business, you could potentially get a ticket because sanitation will think you put trash out on the wrong day. So most people call 311 for is like stuff like that. Like, hey, someone put trash in front of my apartment. Don't give me a ticket. That's kind of what it's for. Or, like Mandami said, like, hey, my heat is out in my apartment and my landlord hasn't fixed it. It's like stuff like that in case you're unaware.
Thank you, Mr.
responses
Sliwa.
from
Well, that's the 411 on
I've heard a lot
311.
of complaints.
Well, it's like 311. I don't know. It's just like the non-emergency line. It's not an emergency, but you got to talk to someone about it. Stuff like that.
about 311, so I actually made a call to
411 is old slang for the relevant information or the truth.
The truth.
I was dropped twice. Then they were going to send someone to find help a homeless woman in distress, and no one showed up.
You're all expressing frustration. Last year, 311 received 38 million contacts from New Yorkers, from calls to the website. Wanted to know if you had a sense across the 5 boroughs what the top 2 categories of complaints were. What do you think they were, Mr. Sleeman?
Sanitation is one for sure.
Potholes, constantly potholes. People's undercarriages ripped out, ball bearings, alignments.
Second one, top 2?
Rats.
Okay.
Rats, yeah. Rats and sanitation. That's my take.
Homeless and trash rats.
All right, Mr. Mamdani.
Trash rats, yeah.
Housing and noise.
Okay, so the answer is noise and illegal parking. And we're going to stick with Paul.
Okay.
Rosarina?
That's right. And let's talk about noise candidates because they fall into these 2 categories. First of all is the residential one. That's the neighbors and the loud music. And the second one is the street
much
or
loud
sidewalk,
music.
everything with a loud construction.
So I do want to say, if most people are calling 311 because of illegal parking and noise, then most people calling 311 are kind of little cake boys, in my opinion. I mean, you live in New York City, you're going to have to deal with shit parking, and you're going to have to deal with loud noises. That's just kind of a given. And if most of the calls are coming for those reasons, then those are just, it's like a non-argument. Those are not good reasons. So this is actually, it's coming across as an argument to defund 311, in my opinion. I don't care about those things.
And workers outside. So, Mr. Cuomo, as mayor, what can you do to help the city that never sleeps get a
It's a city that never sleeps. Everyone already knows it.
Yeah, look, I
Get a little rest.
If the 311 system worked well, if there was actually contact with people, I think New Yorkers would get it. I think New Yorkers would be responsive. I think we have to change the ethos in this city, the ethic in this city. Right now it's toxic, it's divisive, everyone's angry at everyone. I think when we have public safety that's functional again, and New Yorkers are part of that system, I think they would be more cooperative than you think.
Talk to me like I'm not fucking retarded, Cuomo. Go into everything deep, bro. I want the real answers.
Thank you very much.
There's no proposal.
Mr. Sliwa, how would you quiet a little bit the city that never sleeps?
In the outer boroughs, I see problems all the time, quality of life issues. 18-wheel tractor trailers, RVs parked everywhere. Garbage that's not picked up and collected. In the city, we've seen trash cans taken away by the sanitation department, Jessica Tisch, when she was the commissioner. The quality of life has diminished noticeably. So naturally, people are going to revert to 311. But it's important that a mayor be able to provide services to all the people. And they believe if quality of life is diminished, the next stop is sell your house and leave the city. And my goal is to improve and not move.
Mr. Mamdani, your turn.
Improve and not move. I like that.
One of the biggest sources of noise in this city is from congestion. And with the implementation of congestion pricing, we've actually seen noise complaints drop in the congestion zone. And so I would continue to find ways to ensure that we have reduced congestion across the city. And one of the ways is by making the slowest buses in America ones that are fast and free, so that New Yorkers can not only live a life of excellent quality of life, but also be able to get around this city without having to worry if they have $2.90 or soon to be $3 in their pocket, which is already out of reach for 1 in 5 New Yorkers.
We have
good response. He hit back on his stuff he said before.
I'm the only candidate who's opposed to congestion pricing.
Thank you.
It has led to storefronts closing because they don't have enough food.
We have other quality of life
move
issues.
on, otherwise we might have to place a call to 311
Yeah,
without
it
candidates
is.
going over there a lot of time. Okay,
and it's
so
a thing.
we're going to move
no
on
one's
to
there, don't worry.
We're going to move on to illegal parking plaques in many neighborhoods. Recently, Councilmember Lincoln Ressler released a study that found 400.
Straight up, if you can afford to drive in the city, you're not worried about illegal parking. So I think this is a non-issue.
150 vehicles parked illegally during the day in downtown Brooklyn, many with fake or government placards. That's just one snapshot of the city, but you hear similar complaints everywhere. So how would you fix this specific situation? You'll have 30 seconds. Mr. Sliwa will begin with you.
Well, obviously, placards have been abused consistently. You have people who have created fake placards. Not only that, you have people with fake license plates, paper plates.
Yeah, you see those.
All violations against the Department of Transportation rules and regulations of where you can park a vehicle. There's just no enforcement. And that's because we don't have police. We have these e-bikes going up and down. We have the motor.
It's because the police also uses these fake license plates so they don't have to pay tolls or pay parking tickets. It's not just it's the police do it as well. That's the heart of the problem.
They're not following rules
so why are they going to enforce it?
They should be licensed. They should have a way of being identified. This way, enforcement can take place because people are terrified walking out into the streets.
Mr. Mamdani, your plan
They're
for
not
illegal
terrified.
parking?
We have to showcase that accountability is true.
There you go, Mamdani, bro.
Or those who are working for this city. And the violation of traffic laws are violations no matter who is doing it. And to show that accountability is something my city government's actually going to pursue.
Like that.
Mr. Cuomo.
That's a win for
On the
Mamdani.
quality of life, you're right, is very, very important. On the placards, I would make it simple. I would recall all the city placards and reissue only those that are bona fide, period, on day one.
Could be a good
On the quality
response.
of life issues, the worst thing that could happen is if the Assemblyman's proposal for legalizing prostitution went through. That would be terrible for the quality of life. He also doesn't want to
As a New Yorker, I would like to see prostitution legalized. Not saying I would partake, but why not?
What the fuck?
Why not? If it's already taking place, it's just like Las Vegas. I mean, you come to New York and walk Roosevelt Avenue. Just walk it. It's already taking place.
I just think that's a net negative for society, personally.
Maybe. And again, we go back to the Mamdani is the drastic candidate. Cuomo is the more of the same old. What do you want to see? It's up to you.
enforce misdemeanors.
We're getting to that,
That's
Mr.
assault, larceny, etc. That would be terrible.
We're going to have time to address that.
I want to be very clear. Not only have I never called for the legalization of prostitution, I'm not calling for that today either.
Call for it, bro. Get some votes.
I also have never said anything about not enforcing misdemeanors. This is just yet another figment of Andrew Cuomo's imagination.
The DSA, which you give your part of your salary to, that's their position: abolish jails, no new carceral facilities, don't enforce misdemeanors, and you're on the bill in Albany as a sponsor to decriminalize prostitution.
The difference between myself and Andrew Cuomo, of which there are many, is that there is no one that is actually telling me what to do other than the 8.5 million people who call this city home. If you want my policies, you'll find them on my website.
Who told you to legalize prostitution?
Well,
Okay, we actually have a question.
Andrew, you can't escape this. You signed the law doing away with loitering for prostitution. That was the law put forward by Jessica Ramos.
Gentlemen,
you started the prostitution.
All right, gentlemen,
in
Mr.
East
Sliwa.
Elmhurst,
Mr. Sliwa. Mr.
Sliwa. Heights and Flushing.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about this.
And you want to
Well, I feel like that's an L
Mr.
fight
Sliwa.
based on optics for
Mr. Sliwa,
Cuomo.
when I talk over you, nobody's
facts.
hearing you. We actually have a question on that. So we'll let Rosarina ask.
And for this question, candidates, we want to come to Queens, where we know that prostitution has been an ongoing complaint. Mayor Adams formed a task force and ordered sweeps by the NYPD, but the situation continues, especially around the very popular Roosevelt Avenue.
I don't know what she's talking
As Mayor,
about.
Mr. Mamdani, how would you handle this situation? You have 30 seconds.
I want to first be clear that I am not, and nor have I ever called for the legalization of prostitution. And if you are happy with what's happening on Roosevelt Avenue, then you should vote for Andrew Cuomo, because
You
his
trying to get
policies
votes?
continue the exact same ones we've
because
seen under
he's
Eric
probably
Adams.
religiously
My policy
opposed to
is to actually take on
prostitution.
sex
I don't
trafficking,
know.
to have a zero
think
tolerance
he
for
is.
violence against women, and to follow the advice of district attorneys that we have here in New York City, the current Manhattan DA, the former Manhattan DA, the current Brooklyn DA, the former
I don't
Manhattan
like the
DA
current
having said
Manhattan
that
DA.
prosecuting women for prostitution legislation is something that actually leads to less safety.
Mr.
And what we
Right.
need to do
I
is
can get
provide
behind
an
that.
economy
Mr.
of
Mamdani,
opportunity.
just a quick
I get behind that.
clarification. So no
Yeah.
legalization.
He beats
how
around the
about,
bush, but he makes a good point.
Decriminalization.
I do not think
well,
that we
I
should
guess
be
you can take
prosecuting
away
women who are struggling, who are
or the
currently being
Cuomo
thrown in
point.
jail, and then being offered job opportunities. I think we should be actually providing those kinds of opportunities at the first point of interaction.
Mr. Cuomo, your turn.
Cuomo
Bill
just
de
laughs.
Blasio, the Assemblyman is a mini-me BDB, okay? He's Bill de Blasio light. He proposed legalizing prostitution. He didn't get it, and he just told the cops, don't arrest any more prostitutes. There is a bill in Albany
Hell
that
yeah.
he signed that says the prostitution that a woman who is a prostitute, that would be decriminalized. That is what the bill says. And that's what he said, if you listen very carefully. That would take Roosevelt Avenue and explode it.
That's what I was
Because
saying.
it would make it legal for prostitutes.
But real quick,
It's going to happen anyway, whether it's illegal or not. So it's like, why don't you legalize it, regulate it, and make it so taxpayers don't pay for the police to patrol it? It's going to happen anyway.
how would you handle this situation?
You have to enforce the law. It's illegal. I went to
That
Roosevelt
just is
Avenue. I talked to
icky
the
to
store
me.
owners. I talked to
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you think it's icky. It's going to happen anyway.
Well, I don't like it.
It doesn't matter if you don't like it. It's going to happen anyway. It's kind of what I'm saying. Dude, take a stroll down Roosevelt Avenue. It's a different place, man.
the neighbors. I walked down Roosevelt Avenue
Thank
with
you. I have to
prostitutes
move on
there at
to
9
Mr.
o'clock in the
Sliwa.
morning.
Yeah.
9 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah, I bet you did.
and it's illegal. So why don't you just legalize it and regulate it? Make sure they're taken care of, making real money, getting tested. You know, if you want to get one of these prostitutes, you got to show your ID, all that jazz. So it's safer for all these people. Why are you going to be against it? It's the oldest profession in the world, art is what people say. And you're not going to get rid of it, is kind of my argument. It's not going away, no matter if it's illegal or not.
Dealt with this back in the 80s and 90s in Hell's Kitchen in Chelsea when they were overrun with open-air prostitution and Times Square. You don't go after the women. The women are the victims here. You lock up the Johns, you shame the Johns. You let everybody know about the Johns.
All right, I can
The
get behind
madams and
that
the
too.
pimps need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Prosecute the
and these
pimps.
absentee landlords who knowingly rent their rooms.
Sure,
their
go after the
apartments out for
landlords
use
that
of
rent to the
prostitution.
prostitutes. I
The
like
Department
that.
of
I can get
Buildings
behind
should
that.
come in, padlock the building, seize the building. Because many of these landlords live in Delray, Florida. They did back in the 80s and 90s when we did it in Chelsea and Times Square
Thank you,
and Hell's Kitchen.
Thank you,
and they're
Mr.
doing it
Sliwa.
again,
Okay,
and
thank you,
there's
Mr.
no
Sliwa.
enforcement. That's why the prostitution
We're going to go to
flourishes in those
Sally now.
neighborhoods.
Actually,
Thank you,
that's a
David. We're gonna
hot
talk
take.
a
I
bit
like
about
that.
experience and beliefs. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, but we
Beliefs?
want to probe a
Oh,
bit
God,
deeper
this is
into
gonna
each
get
of your
hot.
mindsets and how you'll approach governing as mayor. Mr. Cuomo, you have touted your experience on the campaign trail time and again, but you pretty squarely lost the Democratic primary to Mr. Mamdani, forcing you, a lifelong Democrat, to run as an independent. When you announced that decision, you said, quote, "When you get knocked down, learn the lesson and pick yourself back up." What lesson did you learn, and what do you feel it said about you, something you did wrong, something that you need to change about yourself?
Yeah, I think in the primary campaign, I did not do enough on social media, which is a very
No, it's because he has 11 sexual, like, I don't even know what it was. Sexual harassment allegations, and he killed a bunch of people in nursing homes. That's why he lost. It's not because he didn't do enough in the primaries.
in the primary campaign. I did not do enough on social media.
That's not
which
that's
is a very
not why.
effective medium now. I think the Assemblyman did do a better job on TikTok and social media than I did during the campaign, and that has changed now.
Also, Mamdani doesn't sexually harass women or kill old people.
I've also increased my activity significantly, but my agenda is exactly the same. I am the Democrat, although I'm not on the Democratic
He's not
line.
a Democrat. He's an independent.
He is a Democratic socialist, called Barack Obama evil and a liar. Didn't vote for Kamala Harris.
Love
Fight
that.
and deliver is,
Love that.
I will fight for people. I will fight the bureaucracy, and I will deliver results. New Yorkers need the mayor to get something done. This is all
He didn't get anything done when he was mayor. Just like to point that out.
This is a question about self-reflection. Is the thing you're reflecting on the most that you need to be on social media more? Was there any other deeper lesson that you learned?
Between the two campaigns, social media, more accessibility.
Okay.
Oh my God, Cuomo.
It's been an hour and 20 minutes of this debate, and we haven't heard Governor
A
Cuomo
thing
say
from
the word
Cuomo.
affordability. That's why he lost the primary. That's why he'll lose the general election. And you can lie all you want, but the truth is, I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm the only candidate on this stage to have the endorsement of Kamala Harris. And I'm not the one who's funded by Bill Ackman, who called Kamala Harris unqualified to be the vice president of this country.
Okay, may I respond?
Yes, brief response, please.
There are a lot of New Yorkers who support me. And there are a lot of Jewish New Yorkers who support me.
I wonder why. Did you kiss the wall?
So it's not about Trump or Republican.
What, did he? Did he or did he not?
Do you think he's anti-Semitic, Mr. Cuomo?
I don't make those judgments about people.
Yeah, because you're not paid for it. You taking
I know
donations
there are
from the
many Jewish people
ADL?
who
You can
believe
make that
he's
judgment then.
anti-Semitic. I believe not condemning the globalized Intifada, what he has said about Hamas.
But Mr.
I can
Cuomo,
see where they.
Yeah, this is
are
ridiculous.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I covered your speech in an Upper West Side synagogue where you said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. There is no difference. And you were talking about Mr. Mamdani. Is that not an allegation?
He said
I
that?
make that statement all the time. I wasn't referring to Mamdani.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mamdani, a brief response, and then we have to move on.
I have denounced Hamas again and again, and it will never be enough for Andrew Cuomo, because what he is willing to say, even though not on this stage, is to call me, the first Muslim on the precipice of leading this city, a terrorist sympathizer, is to send mailers that artificially
That is a little
my beard,
bit over the
is
top.
to say to New Yorkers that
Mamdani's not a
What
terrorist.
I will do
Melissa
is
has
deliver
a specific question
Mr.
for you.
Mamdani, you are the Democratic nominee, and you're also a member, as we've been discussing, of a political organization that may be less familiar to New Yorkers, the Democratic Socialists of America, which believes in dismantling capitalism. New York City is the global headquarters of the finance industry. So how would you be the mayor of Wall Street and the DSA? You have 1 minute.
I would be the mayor
Good
of
question.
this entire city. And that means ensuring that the wealth that we generate in this city is also wealth that every single New Yorker can actually feel in their pockets. Because what we have today is a system that has generated the most wealth in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, where 1 in 4 of our neighbors are living in poverty. That's unacceptable. We can't look at 500,000 kids hungry every single night as just the cost of doing business in this city. That's something we have to actually change. And I'm
So straight up, you can look at it that way.
going to do that by fighting for my neighbors in Queens that I've come to know, who are not only the ones who own teapots and toy stores, who own diners and dry cleaners, but also the ones who work there. Because right now, all of them are being pushed out of this city by corporate greed, by private equity, and by a politics that refuses to fight for them. I will finally deliver that.
Just a quick follow-up, Mr. Mamdani. A lot of Hispanic that flee socialism and are a little bit scared to hear your policies. What would you tell them?
Well, I would first say that I wouldn't be here without the support of Latino New Yorkers. It was the
Latino.
majority of their support that helped to make me the Democratic nominee. And what democratic socialism means is a belief in the dignity of each and every New Yorker and the responsibility city government has to deliver that dignity. That's why I'm speaking about childcare, because it's pricing out New Yorkers from the city.
Bro,
That's why I'm
he's
speaking about
good.
freezing the rent,
Mamdani,
because
he's
housing
good.
isn't a human right in the way that we practice our politics in this city. And that's why I'm talking about making buses fast and free, because 1 in 5 New Yorkers are being priced out of public transit today.
Rosarina.
So, Mr. Sliwa, I would like to talk to you because you were here with us 4 years ago in the same stage for the general election debate, and you lost it. Why do you believe New York is ready to elect a Republican this time around?
First off, did I not warn you 4 years ago that Eric Adams would be corrupt and we would have chaos? Did I not? Of course I did. And I get praised for that. Now I'm trying to get people to vote for me, not just on the Republican line, but also my wife, Nancy, who was the best thing that has ever happened to me, created the first ever independent Protect Animals line, which calls for no-kill shelters and putting animal abusers in jail. But the other thing that differentiates me from both of my adversaries is that I am opposed to the city of yes, which will destroy the residential neighborhoods. Both of them are for the city of yes. So when you vote for me, whether on the Republican line or the Protect Animals line, turn your ballot over and vote no on all those initiative and referendums. Imagine, they've said, how can you, Curtis, a Republican, work with a Democratic majority in the council? Adrian Adams is in agreement with me. The Democratic city council people are in agreement with me. No to the city of yes, which will take your homes and provide you instead with lithium-ion battery warehouses next to your house, which are like mini Chernobyls. I'm the only candidate who is opposed to the city of yes.
Thank you.
I have a quick follow to that, Mr. Sliwa. How do you bring down costs if you don't build more housing?
Oh, it's very simple to build.
He already fucking said this. You take away all of the empty retail leases and convert them, and that would give you about 6,000 residential units for free. He did say that. Let's see if he expands on it.
Housing. You just look in New York City. We have so many dense areas where you no longer can use the commercial space. They used to be office space. And you just convert it into residential housing.
Yep.
You don't need to go.
He already said that.
You don't need to use wetlands or parklands, which they seek to do. If you build a new building, it takes 5 years. If you convert an
All right, Mr. Sliwa, thank you. We want to change the pace here a little bit.
I
want to change the pace and just get a sense of what you think about political leadership.
He's right.
We're curious about who you admire. Who is the best modern-day U.S. president? Mr. Cuomo?
Modern day? Well, I'm partial. I was Bill Clinton's Housing and Urban Development Secretary.
Don't say Bill Clinton,
housing all across the United States.
So Bill Clinton?
Empowerment zones.
Don't say Bill Clinton.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
I would say FDR.
That's not modern day.
Modern day?
Modern.
Well, man, I'd say FDR also, if that's modern
This guy
day.
better say Trump.
A man that ended up being loved by Democrats and Republicans alike, the greatest governor we've ever had in my lifetime, George Pataki. 3 terms, no chaos,
they
no
said
corruption.
president, bitch.
He actually beat
president.
the better
President.
President. This governor and this
modern day U.S. president.
Who's the
who you thought the best modern
best president in our lifetime?
Yeah.
Or I would say the best president
say
in
Trump.
our lifetime that I've experienced. I would go back to Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Okay.
No.
How about the best?
Is
New York
that
City
modern?
mayor, Mr.
Does that
Sliwa?
count? That was too vague of a question.
I mean, Mamdani said FDR.
Yeah, I don't think either of those are
week,
modern.
And I'd have a little bit of Michael Bloomberg thrown in because he
A little
liked
bit of
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg.
I think the best New York City mayor of all time is Fiorello LaGuardia.
I don't know who
Mr.
that
Cuomo.
is.
It was Bill de Blasio last debate.
No, I've always said Fiorello is the best mayor of all time.
Who's yours, Mr. Cuomo?
Is it of all time or modern time?
Best New York City mayor in Europe.
Of all time, it is Fiorello LaGuardia.
We agree.
Hey, they agree.
Recently,
That's
I
so
would say,
cute.
Mayor Dinkins and Mayor Bloomberg.
Okay.
I don't
How about
know these
political leader,
mayors.
dead or alive, you most admire? Mr. Mamdani?
Dead or alive, you most
I would say I
admire?
admire
What about you? Before they get into it, political figure, dead or alive, that you most admire. They didn't specify American.
A political figure, alive or dead, that I most admire.
Yeah, I mean Genghis Khan or Alexander the Great, in my opinion. Napoleon.
That's a rough one.
I mean, they're gonna say American figures.
Well, you can
Lincoln.
start. I gotta think on that one.
All right,
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, my boy.
Mr. Sliwa?
I said it already, George Pataki, who was loved by Democrats
I don't know who that
and
is,
Republicans,
man.
and the greatest mayor in our lifetime.
All right.
The greatest
Now,
governor in our
I just
lifetime.
have one more before Sally starts to ask
Pataki?
you about schools. A show of hands. Who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So no decision. Mr. Cuomo, you handpicked her.
Kathy Hochul is very democratic and a liberal leaning, but she's actually not that bad. But if you support Kathy Hochul, you're probably someone that supports Cuomo because it's kind of like a slow roll of like gradual additions like to the state or a city. But if you want drastic change, you're going to vote for Mamdani, and you're not going to vote for Hochul. You're going to want someone that wants drastic change. Hochul is not a political figure that does this kind of thing.
As your lieutenant governor, no thought.
You have to know who's running.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And I would add that I do think that Kathy Hochul, our governor, has been doing a good job in not only
Do you
serving
support her
and
for re-election?
not only delivering for New Yorkers, but also standing up to Donald Trump.
Just what do you support her for re-election?
Then endorse her.
I'm focusing on November.
Why don't you endorse her?
And I appreciate her support,
right,
and I appreciate her work.
But you don't endorse her.
How about a shout out for
He didn't endorse her.
Take out Kathy Hochul.
No.
So you have a Republican Mayor Curtis, a Republican Governor
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
like Giuliani.
We want to talk about
Pataki,
schools.
Who saved this city.
We want to
and
talk about
state.
schools. Sally?
Okay, thank you, David. Let's turn to education. There are a number of issues facing public schools. One that's been controversial in the campaign is the Gifted and Talented program, which offers accelerated instruction to elementary school children. Mr. Mamdani,
nice.
you have said that you want to phase out the Gifted and Talented program, while Mr.
Why?
Cuomo
That's
and
exactly
Mr.
how we
Sliwa
should be
want to
doing
expand it.
education.
Mr. Sliwa, we
No Child Left Behind is actually bad.
No Child Left Behind is terrible. So our education system is flawed and terrible, and we need to have a complete revamping of K through 12.
Absolutely.
And we should give high schoolers, maybe give them an extra year or so, and have them come out with like their 2 years of general credits they have to take in college, or at least a trade degree or something, and give them the ability to compete after a public education.
Give
you
them
shouldn't
something.
gate it behind the private institutions that are public but still take money.
Yeah, private, a four-year institution that will cost you a minimum of $60,000 to graduate. You'll be in debt $60,000. Like,
We're not doing our future generations any favors by not making sure that they have the education that best suits them and what they're trying to do.
You're literally better off coming out of that high school with a haircutting certificate. You will make more money at the end of the day. It's fucking ridiculous.
will start with you. What is your plan for the program? You have 1 minute.
Gifted and talented.
Yes, gifted and talented.
I have two younger sons with Melinda Katz, the Queens DA. They both attempted to get into gifted and talented as 4-year-olds. They failed. It did not present a problem with their future education. We don't have enough slots. Right now, they're 1,900. We need to have at least 5,000 slots around the city. What they have not done at the Department of Education is make these tests available in Black and Hispanic communities. So, for instance, you have 77,000 children who are 4 years old. Only 10,000 have taken the test. Only 2,000 are accepted. Why not offer the test to all 77,000? And even if a gifted and talented class only has 3 or 4 in a minority school, give these children an opportunity to excel too. That would make it fair for everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Cuomo, how does your plan differ from Mr. Sliwa's? You also have 1 minute.
First, I support mayoral control. I think it would be a terrible mistake to roll back mayoral control. That's probably been the most dramatic educational reform in 40 years. We'd go back to the old system that had local.
I will say, as far as this like New York educational stuff goes, I'm not very familiar with it. So I don't know much about this.
School boards, which were corrupt, patronage mills, etc. So who runs the system is number one. I would expand gifted and talented programs, accessibility. I'd offer preparatory courses to any student, parent that wanted to take them. I double the number of specialized high schools.
Who's going to pay for that?
18, and I would keep the SHSAT as it is.
Thank you. And Mr. Mamdani.
Can I add one thing? There's been no discussion about vocational high schools, which save so many young men and women. We need to expand vocational training for the.
So vocational high schools in New York are kind of a big thing. So New York is a city where a lot of immigrants come from, or like they come to, sorry. And a lot of these people can't speak English. So in New York City, there are schools specifically where the main focus is to teach you to learn how to speak English. So say you're from Mexico and you speak Spanish, and you're supposed to be in the 6th grade or whatever, and you go to New York, most likely you'll end up in a 6th grade vocational school where it's not the regular curriculum. They're gonna mostly teach you how to speak English. That's what he's talking about right now.
Okay, we're going to keep going here with Mr. Mamdani. Why should the gifted and talented program be phased out, in your opinion? You have a minute to answer.
So I want to be very clear. I have spoken solely of gifted and talented for kindergartners. I do not believe that kindergartners should be subject to a singular assessment. I have not spoken of any gifted and talented programs older than for kindergarten. I'm solely speaking about kindergarten. And I believe that we should be delivering the best education across the country here in this city. We will do that by following through on the proposals I've put forward to hire 1,000 more teachers every single year through our Community to Classroom program, one that will ensure that we're providing each student, whether they be in high school or someone who is an adult looking to become a teacher, with $12,000 in tuition subsidies so that they can start to fulfill the 7,000 to 9,000 additional teachers we need so that we can actually deliver on the Class Size Reduction Act, which I was proud to pass in Albany, that will ensure that children and teachers actually have a manageable ratio in that classroom so that they can learn. Because today, that learning is being rendered impossible by the number of kids in that same classroom. It's time to make sure that that number is lower.
Yeah. But you don't believe the mayor should run this system?
I've been critical of mayoral control because of the ways in which it's been used to take away the voice of parents, of educators, of students. And I think it's important that those same voices be a part of how we lead the system.
So are you for or against mayoral control?
I've been critical of it. I'm against mayoral control. And I think that there's an importance of developing something that actually enshrines all of those voices together.
Mr. Cuomo, you also tried to curtail it when Mayor de Blasio was mayor. But we can go.
Did you hear what she said?
No.
I was saying you proposed a curtailment of mayoral control when Mayor de Blasio was mayor during
There's been multiple modifications of mayoral control over the years.
Some proposed curtailment at your hand. So if you are such a champion of it tonight,
No, I never
out.
proposed reversing mayoral control.
No, shortening the duration of time he would have control of schools.
Yes, for renewal. The renewal period.
How much control of schools, Mr. Mamdani, how much control of schools would you be giving up? Is it just a sharing arrangement? I know you want to share with the districts and with parents, or would you be giving up full control? And is that an accountability problem if the buck doesn't stop with you?
I think the mayor needs to retain the accountability so that New Yorkers know exactly who they can come to when they have critiques. And I think we also have to develop a system where we don't have what we saw just recently, where you have hours and hours of parents and teachers and students testifying only to be overruled without any consideration by the panel on
Thank you. Mr. Mamdani, I have to move on. Switching now, it's a question for all three of you, switching to students with learning challenges. Parents of students with dyslexia, ADHD, and autism are very well aware the fact that the school system in New York City is not doing enough to meet their children's educational needs. How will you help these parents and students? We know that Mayor Adams has expanded evaluations specifically for children with dyslexia. It was an issue close to
I'm
his
back.
heart,
Sorry.
What would you do
I had to take the
more
fucking
broadly,
piss,
Mr.
mate.
Mamdani?
You know, I think some of the initiatives that Mayor Adams has launched, especially with this chancellor, have been showing positive signs, especially for literacy and for preparedness, especially as we're in a national crisis on reading and mathematical comprehension. And I think those are programs that should be furthered, should be invested in, all while also ensuring that we're giving teachers greater flexibility in the curriculum that they're actually teaching. Because what I've heard from many of those teachers is that too often the curriculum that's being procured in the $10 billion a year in DOE contracts is one that has little relation to the classroom.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Sliwa, you have 30 seconds.
Yes. We have $41,000 that we're spending on each student now. By 4th grade, 2/3 of these children cannot read, write, or do math at grade level. We should be ashamed of ourselves for that. 100,000 less students than we had last year. 1/3 are truants. We have 200 schools with 200 students or less, and Michael Mulgrew determines which schools stay open. Eric Adams is not exhibiting mayoral control. The mayor should run the Board of Education, the old Board of Education that is now the Department of Education, the bureaucracy. You have 13 deputy chancellors. You have 50 department heads that suck up all the money, and teachers are still reaching into their pocket to pay for badly needed supplies for the children in the class. The money should be going to the teachers and the children and young adults, and it's not.
Mr. Cuomo, what is your specific
not bad,
to deal with the challenges of students who have learning differences?
We are losing young families. when the child becomes of school age, they leave the city, they go to the suburbs, they go to New Jersey, they're not going to sacrifice their child on what they think is a secondary education system. The core competency, reading and math, below 50% is a disgrace. The gifted and talented programs gives people hope. I do believe Mayor Adams has made progress on the evaluations and services for children who require special needs and assistance, but obviously we have to do more.
Yeah, I don't know enough about this.
About improving schools, and in the last year, the schools enrolled more than 36,000 migrant students, many learning English for the first time, from class size to bilingual.
And I will say, I know a little bit about this. If a large portion of your students are just here to learn English, it is going to bring down your test scores. So it could be possible that the New York educational system is just as adequate as any other city's educational system. It's just the fact that a lot of the students don't know English, so they have to spend time teaching them English, and that will in turn bring down their standardized test scores. So it's very possible. It's just a non-issue here. It's just a different dynamic than a normal American city.
Teachers, that puts a big strain in the system.
Is it rough though, or is it kind of a good thing? I don't actually know if that's a bad thing or a good thing.
Mr. Cuomo, what can you do to help migrant students, but also the staff? You have 30 seconds.
Well, first, I think it was wrong of the state to put so many migrants in New York City. New York City had the overwhelming majority of migrants.
But they were already here.
Close to about 80%. The state should have put them all across the state.
That's a hot take, and I kind of agree with that hot take. So people complain about, I complain about it too, but whatever. There's millions of migrants that are coming, and a lot of those migrants come into sanctuary states because they get more rights and they have just a better opportunity to do things. And if all of these cities or states were sanctuary states, if they spread out the migrants evenly, every city would have to deal with them evenly, and you wouldn't be seeing this kind of specific problem in cities like New York or Chicago. But that would require a federal involvement, which is not, there's no way the federal government is ever going to say, divvy up these migrants proportionally. That's not a thing that the federal government does. But if they did, you wouldn't be seeing this issue with education in New York City. That's kind of what he's talking about, I think.
So Suffolk, upstate, so other governments could have also.
Well, they were bused here from Texas,
and
right?
we have
And I've been saying that for years now. All these migrants that want to go to Chicago, if you just divvy them up proportionally to each city in the country, you wouldn't really be hearing about a problem. There wouldn't be a problem if you dished them out proportionally. Yeah, and if you did that, the migrants wouldn't be a problem, basically.
Why are you saying that?
Because every city in the country could support a small number of migrants. And
yes. Yep,
and
I agree.
what's happening is, all the migrants are getting flooded to these sanctuary cities, and it's overwhelming them.
From Texas, you could have brought some to Nassau, 20 miles,
Yeah, but they're here
Westchester.
right now, and we're asking about the current problem.
Yes, well, that's how the problem was created.
Okay, we understand
The
that.
state put them here. The state gave the city the bill. It has now.
He's not
increased the
wrong about
challenge in
that.
our education system. The state is going to have to help financially.
So you didn't answer the question, Mr. Mamdani, is your chance.
You know, when I spoke about our community to classroom program, the importance of it is not just bringing in 1,000 more teachers every year. It's also that we would bring in a number of more bilingual educators. Because what we've heard from a number of adults who have taught in other countries, now live in New York City, is the process by which they get their certification approved to teach here is one that is onerous and one that is actually pricing many of them out. That's why this is a program that will directly address that, to increase that.
So he's saying to fix this issue, lower the standards on bilingual teachers. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but it could be a good take.
Bilingual capacity in our school system so that we can teach every single child, no matter when they got here,
but
the public education
Mr. Mamdani, this certification has been offered and it hasn't been successful. So how can you make more teachers to be, like they want to do this?
Part of what I've heard is that the tuition costs as part of the same certification exams are onerous for many of these adults looking to switch careers. That's why this program is built upon providing $12,000 in tuition assistance that would lead to 1,000 more teachers every year.
And also salaries will be a good...
We have not just migrant children, we have the children of the homeless, over 120,000. We haven't yet discussed charter schools, parochial schools that are closing. Normally, parochial schools would have been able to take some of these children. We need to expand the number of charter schools that are doing an amazing job, especially in
the Republicans' take is more private schools might help fix this issue. Very Republican take here.
Cities, and why not make that available to migrant children and to the homeless children who are coming from shelters all across the city who need the special teaching skills that have lifted children in the charter schools. We need to give choice because that's our most precious resource, our children.
So allow me to now move on into the sanctuary.
I agree on the charter schools.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. So allow me now to enter into the sanctuary city situation, and let's talk about also undocumented immigrants. 26 Federal Plaza has become a flagship in federal immigration crackdown. We reported that asylum seekers are showing up for like those routine appointments, not facing any
of the asylum seekers that cross the border illegally should be deported, and that should be all of these candidates' statements.
Criminal challenges, and they end up being deported. So by the show of hands, we would like to know if you believe that any of you could do something to stop this.
There's no need to stop it.
Okay. So, Mr. Cuomo, you have a minute to explain us. What would you do?
The law is the law. And I would have an attorney assigned to every person who is undergoing any review by the federal government or any legal proceeding.
That's too expensive. It's not realistic.
The full weight of the city government behind it, and make sure they are legally protected.
Mr. Sliwa, what's your plan?
Look, going after the criminals, that's the job of Immigration and Naturalization Service, ICE. But when they have to perform under a quota, because I speak to many of the men and women who serve this country, it's putting too much pressure to go outside of courthouses, to go Home Depot shape-ups, or in the backs of restaurants, hospitality businesses, which have hired these migrants, and they are essential workers now. I can tell you, I have 3 sons. None of them are going to do that work. Some Americans will, but most won't. We need to protect the migrants who are workers, who are essential workers, and use ICE to go after the drug dealers, the gangbangers, the sexual predators, and those who are sex trafficking and involved in narco-terrorism.
Mr. Mamdani.
Now, I'd be proud to be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations, and it's at 26 Federal Plaza that I've seen what used to be moments when New Yorkers would be getting their citizenship turn into moments of tragedy, where judges are asking New Yorkers who are there for a routine immigration check-in whether they're prepared to leave in the very same clothes that they arrived to that courthouse. I agree that we need more legal representation. I also think we need to actually be able to stand up to Donald Trump, because I heard from...
No. The American people voted for Donald Trump as a mandate to get rid of these illegal migrants. If you cross the border illegally, you could get sent home. Mamdani, understand that.
Pastor in East Flatbush, Pastor Galbraith, who told me how he accompanied a member of his congregation to 26 Federal Plaza. He sat there as a judge was determining her fate. They managed to convince the judge to replace the deportation order with a TPS order, but they knew that ICE would not care about that change, and they had to sprint her out of the building, smuggling her into the elevator in order to get her back to Brooklyn.
So he's making the argument that like city officials smuggled an illegal away from the federal government, so the federal government couldn't deport her when the federal government was elected by the people as a mandate to deport these illegals. That's just it's such a New York argument. It's such a bad argument.
Thank you.
Candidates want to talk about New York City's economy and change the pace a little bit. Everyone supports.
We're giving him a loss, Mamdani.
The mayor is our chief salesman to the business world.
Rip.
So we want to mix it up, test your persuasive power. So we're calling it an elevator pitch. And we'll start with you, Mr. Mamdani. In this scenario, imagine you're talking to the CEO of a big tech company deciding to move its headquarters to New York City or to Dallas. The CEO is concerned New York just raised its corporate taxes and employees will pay more for everything. Look into the camera and make your pitch to that CEO.
I would go to Dallas if I were a CEO of a tech company.
Do it in 30 seconds.
New York City has something that Dallas or no other city across this country could actually offer.
Not the tax breaks.
That is the quality of life. That is the arts and the culture. That is the people that make the city so special.
Yeah.
And I, as the mayor of this city, will deliver that quality of life, will deliver the safety that is the cornerstone of an affordability agenda, and will ensure that companies choose to come.
He's saying he's going to bring an affordability agenda to these tech CEOs, but he's also saying he's going to tax the top, 2% of earners in the city, which would directly affect these CEOs. So I don't really buy this.
To this city and also choose to stay in this city, because so much of what drives the tech sector is a hunger for innovation, a unrepenting desire to actually innovate, and those are the very things that are going to characterize my city government in this.
But what do you say to the CEO about the corporate taxes and also the staggering costs for the workers?
Yeah, what do you say?
We're going to make this city more affordable so that workers who want to work at those companies can actually be able to do so. And we're going to ensure
the people that need to take a free bus are not the people that are working for these tech companies. It's a totally different demographic. I'm not trying to be hostile towards Mamdani, but that is a on-woke take on, the real dynamic of the city.
That this city continues to be one where we see businesses opening and also staying open.
All right, thank you. Sally?
Mr. Cuomo, something of a reverse scenario for you. The CEO of a similar company with 1,000 good jobs tells you she's very close to moving her headquarters out of New York City. She cites everything from taxes to the crushing cost of living for her employees in New York City. How do you convince that CEO to stay? Please look into the camera and make your elevator pitch.
Please look into the camera.
We know that the other companies in New York City. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The question is to me in this camera?
Yes, the question is how you would convince the CEO of a company with 1,000
He
good
can't
jobs
even answer
who's looking
a question.
to move out of New York City because of the high cost of living for her employees and taxes, how you would convince her to stay in New York City.
In 15 seconds?
30.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay. I get it. I understand your frustration. I understand that the far left has been raising taxes and making businesses feel like the enemy. We get it. That's gone. The DSA, the socialist orientation, we're not socialists. It didn't work in Venezuela, didn't work in Cuba, didn't work here.
Why not?
We know that we have to work with business. We want to be your partner. We want to have taxes that help us grow our city, but are competitive for you.
We're at time.
And we want to partner to grow your business and our city together.
Thank you.
He's so half-baked, I can't get behind
let's
it.
assume the big tech company that we pitched to Mr. Mamdani earlier has decided to move to New York, and it's 1,000 good paying jobs, and the CEO wants to be based in Astoria, Queens. But there's a loud pushback of residents who don't want the noise and the traffic. How can you convince the residents
calling
to
311 and
accept the new
complaining?
neighbor?
Yeah, I will say, noise and traffic is not an election issue in New York City. It's just not.
You're speaking to a very powerful community. How can you convince them?
But we saw that with Amazon. Amazon wanted to come in, and AOC led the charge and local elected officials to say no to Amazon. That was a big mistake. I would say this. our companies are being recruited away by the day. We have young people who are going to school here who could fill their needs in these high-tech industries who also are being lured away. We need to cut their income taxes for 5 years. Tell them if you go to school here, graduate here, no income taxes for 5 years. It's an income tax holiday. And the most important
He's a
thing,
Republican
we have to be
saying
able to
that?
assure
Thank you.
the executive that this will be a city where we don't lock up too.
If you're from here and you go to school here and you get a job, you don't pay income taxes for 5 years. God damn, that's a good incentive. I can't even believe a Republican is saying that.
Faced any longer, but lock up the criminals who make it intolerable to have a good quality of life.
I agree with
we
that.
We need to move on to a subject
that was the Democratic Socialists of America that stopped Amazon and cost us 25,000 jobs. So
Thank you,
real
Mr.
life.
Cuomo. We need to move on to
He's
a crisis
kinda
that
right
is
about
very
that,
important
too.
to a lot of voters, and that is people struggling with mental health problems. Roughly 500 times a day, someone calls 911 about an emotionally disturbed person. And in a limited number of those cases, when the person is not believed to be violent, social workers are dispatched instead of police. Mr. Mamdani, you want to do that on a much larger scale. So we want to know, how will this work? When will you send police versus social workers? You have 1 minute.
You know, we have a program here in New York City called Be Heard that is attempting to do this kind of work. But we've had a mayor who has ensured that it's been unsuccessful, to the extent that even when there was an assessment of about 60% of calls that could have been addressed by Be Heard instead of the NYPD, Be Heard was not actually responsive to it. And that's because we haven't had the political will to deliver on what is a crisis that affects so many New Yorkers, which is the mental health crisis. What my plan will do, an innovative plan of the Department of Community Safety, will take what has worked elsewhere in the country, a program in Eugene, Oregon, where they took 24,000 911 mental health calls out of the police department. They were able to respond to all but 311 without police assistance. When there is a concern for safety or of violence,
that's not enough.
Absolutely, you would have the police there. But what we are doing today is actually ensuring that every single call is going to the police and not allowing them to do the work that they signed up to do.
How will you determine whether there is a concern for safety or violence? What is the line between the calls in which police will be dispatched and the calls to which social workers will be dispatched?
The line is also going to be one focused on violence and the threat of violence. And I also trust the operators who will be receiving those calls to make that determination, as they do every day today for so many emergency services.
And just 2 really quick points, please. There has been a lot of discussion that you would send social workers to domestic violence calls, which police are concerned about. So you're saying no, okay. And then the other question is, how can you be sure that a situation that does not sound violent when someone calls 911 does not become violent in the moment?
You can't be
Would
sure.
police be assigned as backup?
And that goes back to the protection for police officers. You really can't be sure that the call that's coming in is going to be violent or non-violent. It's that line is impossible to be drawn until a police officer shows up there. And if you're going to send social workers, it could end up violently for them. But I do agree with Mamdani that a lot of these calls that he's talking about are non-violent. But that doesn't mean you should increase social workers responding to the calls. Because sometimes you do need a guy with a gun to enforce the law. It's unfortunate, but it is true.
I think what you do is you actually follow the experts that have shown us this can work when you're willing to ensure that you're trusting the mental health experts who have been doing this work elsewhere in the country, where they call for the police when they need the police, but their initial...
And again, when they've been doing it elsewhere in the country, I will argue that it has not been working.
When there's no violence in that call is to actually address the mental health at the heart of it.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa, you have encountered plenty of these types of situations in your decades of work with the Guardian Angels. So do you see this approach working? You're not a police officer, but you've helped out in situations.
He's close to it.
Boy, another fantasy that's not reality. Eugene.
Boy, another fantasy.
I've been to Eugene. Come on, this is New York City. We have so many emotionally disturbed persons that are in need of help. I will tell you this, Andrew, you closed the mental health beds that were taking care of them. 40,000 when you came in.
Just want to go over a comment real quick. Anyone that thinks a state that deliberately sets out to murder kids has a right to exist needs therapy, in my opinion. And I would argue that most states have murdered kids. And so
that's true.
we're like, you can't even go into that argument without talking to the majority of states that exist right now.
To office down to 4,000.
And my biggest issue is
force these people to live.
It's
in
just the
streets,
saying,
the
like
parks,
the
and
right to
subways.
exist.
People
Again, I'm not saying that Jewish people don't deserve to like live or something. I just don't know in any other nation, tribe, people, country, state that anyone else says that those people have a right to exist.
Yeah, like
in their country or their place has a right to exist. I mean,
like hot take, I think everyone has the right to exist. But there are criminals in the world, and there are people that, genocide 67 Palestinians.
I'm talking about people, though. We're talking
Palestinians.
about countries. We're not talking about people. We're talking about countries.
Yeah,
so
if we're talking about countries, I understand.
Very clear. Nation states fall and rise. There's been a lot of countries that are no longer in existence.
And there are a lot of countries that have risen from killing people.
Well, children included.
Children included. Either way, yeah, let's continue.
Be removed. They need mental health care. We need to make our shelters safe. I've been in 1/3 of the 300 shelters run by the Department of Homeless Services. It's Darwinian there, survival of the fittest. If we can make our shelter system safe, we can get men and women who are homeless in there, especially veterans who we're not giving any attention to, who we put out in Ward's Island at 10 o'clock at night, released during the day, don't give any training, have them roam about, and obviously when you have nothing to do, you end up getting into trouble. Okay. This is a disastrous, homeless, and emotionally disturbed plan that we have in New York City. And I'm the mayor that can change it because I deal with them every day in the streets, in the parks, and the subways.
Okay, Mr. Cuomo,
this guy can't deal with shit in the streets. He's old.
Do you think that the NYPD handles
these
calls for emotionally disturbed people in distress well? Is there room for something in the middle?
Yeah, I think the Assemblyman deals in theory. There's an advantage when you actually have experience. I've run homeless programs. I ran the homeless programs for the federal government.
Okay, just real quick, I want to say that like every major state has killed their indigenous people. And like that's I just want to point out that like that's how the world goes, whether you agree with it or not.
Right. And as I said earlier in the stream, no one ever said like the Navajo Indians have
the right to exist. Yeah, it's
not that they don't have a right to exist, but that their tribe doesn't have a right to exist in their homeland, wherever in the United States or wherever else that would be.
Yeah, just look at any major country in Google. Like, has X country murdered their indigenous people? And the answer is yes. So we just, that's about where I stand on it.
Worked with cities all across the nation. When you get a call on a telephone about a mentally ill person,
it's ridiculous. Every country does it.
It is a very dangerous situation. And I think you should have a mental health worker accompanied with a police officer.
But some countries are better than others.
Situations.
I don't know about that.
That seemed apparently calm and fine, and then erupted into violence very quickly, and it got very dangerous very quickly. So I would have a social worker with
it's
a
true.
police
You don't
officer
have to like or agree with it. What can you do?
Yeah, what can you do about it? I don't like it either. I don't agree with it either, but it's just like a fact.
Not institutionalize 40,000 people again. We have supportive housing now, which is what we use, and forensic beds for people who need them.
Let me get this straight. A police officer is there first. He has to wait for the arrival of a mental health care worker.
No, I would send them as a team.
As a team. But that's not realistic. You're dealing with fantasy
Okay.
also.
All right.
The police officers are going to be the first one on the scene, and they're always going to have to deal with it first and foremost.
Mr. Cuomo says that he has experience running homeless programs. What he has experience doing is cutting funding for the very programs that prevented homelessness here in New York City. As the governor, he cut funding for the Advantage program, which was putting New Yorkers who had otherwise been in shelters, otherwise been homeless, into apartments. I met one of those New Yorkers.
Mr. Cuomo,
and she told me how that pushed her out on the
street. Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Brief response, Mr. Cuomo.
He's talking about a program 14 years ago. There was a pilot program that had a work requirement. It was very controversial. It was $65 million.
You're talking about Advantage, just so we know
the
what you're
Advantage
talking
program.
about? Okay.
It was 14 years ago, $65 million. I added billions to the homeless budget. Funded the homeless budget larger than any governor in history.
Okay.
He cut
thank you.
that
We want to talk
program.
about.
He
all right.
cut that
Mr.
program.
Mamdani,
Homelessness skyrocketed
Mr.
after
Mamdani.
Shut up,
We aired
Mamdani.
this 14 years ago.
All right.
It was during the Bloomberg administration. And yes, okay.
Okay. I want to ask you about climate change.
Okay.
As New York City confronts the impact of climate change, one
climate
issue already on the desk of the
change.
next mayor is Local Law 97. Passed in 2019, the law requires large buildings to gradually reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. That may require very expensive upgrades to buildings, which some...
Yo, you want to get into climate change?
I know, right? I just don't know why we don't build the wall to stop the greenhouse gases from coming in the atmosphere and the firmament, because obviously the Earth's flat. And
Well, I just wanted to get into why are you gonna make specifically New York buildings adhere to greenhouse emission standards, but not the rest of the world? What's going on there? Is it because they're more developed and you're jealous? Like, what's going on?
No,
That was
it's
my take.
virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling.
Well, it's if New York City is more developed than, a Chinese city, and China goes ahead and says, "Hey, you need to adhere to these greenhouse gas principles," but I don't, so I can catch up to you. Is that fair? In my opinion, it's not.
In my opinion, the whole green stuff, unless you do it at a mass scale, it's not really effective. So it's not worth spending extra money to do that when it could be better used in other things.
Sure, yeah. If you want to really affect greenhouse gas emissions, make it so every billionaire can't take private jets everywhere. Make them fly coach. That's a good start. That will never happen. Will never happen.
Opinion, all the climate change talk right now is to make it so us peasants don't get to use as much, and all the rich people get to keep flying around in their planes and
the poor countries that are underdeveloped that don't have these climate change restrictions, they also get to use their fossil fuels to catch up, which I don't think it's fair, in my opinion. Anyway, whatever.
I digress.
Landlords and co-op owners say they just simply can't afford. We're wondering how each of you would enforce the law. You have 30 seconds. Mr. Cuomo.
Local Law 97, I support. Implementing the law is going to be the key because it has to be done in a way that isn't so disruptive to businesses and residences that they just give up and pay the fine and don't even try.
Don't get me wrong. Half the pipeline agrees with you.
Now.
The other half's getting a little salty about it.
To pay the fine,
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
You're not wrong, though.
Nothing. So yes, I support the law. Yes, we have to implement it, but we have to implement.
But you want to let China build a coal production plant per day, and you want to tell us that we need to invest in solar panels when we're giving out billions of dollars to green energy companies, and a lot of these companies are like middlemen that aren't actually producing green energy. They're just investing in what they call green energy, but it really isn't that 100%. It's a grift.
I mean, a little bit.
Everyone in the world needs to agree that, like, hey, we actually need to stop this climate change and not use it to their advantage, and then we can actually start making progress. But that's not what's happening right now.
I think the general consensus is that we need to just make sure that we can do nuclear energy safely and reliably.
I like that.
And that that would just be the best way to go about powering things.
Yeah, it could solve all of our problems right now.
Local 97 will destroy those people who have invested in co-ops and condos. There's 100,000. It's forcing them to electrify. Now, you, Andrew Cuomo, took Indian Point offline, 25% of our electrical capacity with no replacement, which has caused skyrocketing electricity bills. And now we're going to force condo and co-op owners to electrify. Maintenance fees will go up 30%. These people will be leaving their condos and co-ops.
Maintenance fees go up, but if you are in a co-op, you don't have to necessarily pay for a maintenance fee. Everyone in the co-op can agree we're not going to pay for the maintenance guy. We're going to do it ourselves. So, just want to point that out.
They need relief.
And yeah,
when I'm mayor,
the main
I
thing
slow
is
that
they
process
all
down.
have to
We
agree
need
to
our
it for it to be effective.
Yep. But it's easier to get the majority of your apartment complex to agree to that than one landlord, in my opinion.
Co-op owners and condo owners to stay here in New York City and not flee.
Indian Point? Yeah. Indian Point was started before me. It was a very dangerous situation. We have nuclear facilities upstate. And
we need more.
My proposal on
we
what
need
I did
new
is
ones.
run cables from the nuclear facilities upstate to bring the power to downstate.
That's a great idea.
Indian Point had 20 million people in the kill zone.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Mamdani, local law 97, how would you enforce the law as mayor?
I support the law, and I would also make it easier for condo and co-op owners to comply with the law.
Captain said a lot of people want nothing to do with nuclear power. I understand the stigma. However, there are a lot of countries that do use nuclear power, like large countries too, like U.S., UK, Ukraine, Turkey, Switzerland, Sweden, Spain, South Korea, Slovenia, Slovakia, Russia, Romania, Japan, Mexico, Iran, India, Hungary, France, Egypt, Czech, China, Canada, Brazil. I think maybe the issue why a lot of people don't do it is they might not have the technology for
well, and they're scared of it. It's like the whole issue with nuclear waste, people are scared of it. But if you could just dig if you could dig down a mile, like you could fit all of that in like a pretty small radius, all the nuclear waste. It's just the problem is we don't care where the nuclear waste goes. And if we cared more about that and like dealt with it and made sure these facilities were run properly, there would be no problem. We could power the whole world and more with nuclear power. Right?
Yeah,
we could do that right now.
I agree, and Captain says it's justifiably scared, and I get it too.
Yeah, it is. People are scared of it, but that's the issue. The real issue is like we could power the whole world right now with nuclear energy. We just don't do it because people are scared of it.
Which is, I mean, it is bad. It can lead to the end of the world potentially.
Potentially, but they say like the newly designed nuclear facilities have basically there's no cause for concern. They're so sophisticated and well built.
I don't know enough about that to make an educated
That's the
statement.
thing, because we haven't built any new nuclear facilities because people are so against it. But if we did it, the problem will be solved. Just look at France. That's a great example.
Well,
all right, let's continue.
Let's hear what these people have to say.
What I've heard from so many is that it's cheaper to pay the fine than to actually get into compliance. And I think the city has a role here in procurement at a large scale of so much of what is necessary in these infrastructure investments. We've seen it be done in the Clean Energy Challenge within NYCHA. It's time to do it right here in New York City to assist those condo and co-op owners in meeting the standards we desperately need to hit.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parades, and the mayor is often front and center. You have all said that you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers.
Most polluted sea
so will you
because
march
of the UK?
in all the parades that mayors
and
have
huge security threat. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
I think a mayor has a
You can make the same argument
whenever
with the electrical grid.
Well, I mean, you could, what if you bomb like a nuclear reactor? Couldn't that just cause like a catastrophic like nuclear meltdown in that area?
They say with like new technology and new standards that no, it wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
They,
Well,
like the
again,
benefits outweigh the potential risks. But
again,
that hasn't been proven yet because no one's built them.
I'm pretty ignorant.
Yeah, well, that's not your fault. That's because the world is ignorant to nuclear power.
Possible to march in parades to celebrate whatever that parade is performing as. I've been a Grand Marshal of the Pulaski Day Parade. I was proud to celebrate
my Polish heritage. Are there any that you would boycott, though? I just need to move this along.
Excuse me?
Would you boycott any of the city's parades?
No, I would not boycott any parades.
Mr.
It's the mayor's responsibility to be available to all racial, ethnic, and religious groups.
No, I wouldn't unless they discriminated.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani.
There are many parades that I would not be attending because I'd be focusing on the work of leading the city.
Sure, what you mean,
Which
Captain?
parades?
A number of them. I've already missed a number of those parades because I've been
There's a little bit of a lag.
Is there?
Okay.
I don't have the list of all the parades.
No, for the chat and what we're saying.
Let me ask you this. Are there any parades that
like 10
don't
seconds
exist
or so.
that you think should?
Yeah.
Mr. Mamdani?
I haven't thought
Great
much about
points,
parades, to be
though,
honest with you.
Captain.
Mr. Cuomo?
Fantastic.
I have not thought,
Great
I
points.
don't even know what
Yeah,
parade
great
doesn't
points.
exist, frankly.
Could be for anything. Mr. Sliwa?
Every parade has the right to exist in New York City. I would ask
David?
you,
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Mondani, would you protect the Christopher Columbus statues that exist here in the city?
I'm telling you, my focus is on affordability. I'm not thinking about
No, he would
answering the
not.
question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
They're not answering
we
the question.
gave the finger to the Columbus Day statue.
that issue's come up.
That's what we
I
call
don't
it.
even care who cares about statues.
Listen, we're in the last couple of minutes. And we
I can
thought
get
we'd
into
have
it.
some questions.
I could argue for it.
We thought we'd have some questions that maybe give a glimpse into your life, your personality away from the political podium. What's your go-to breakfast order at the bodega, Mr. Sliwa?
Oh, what is this bullshit?
Go-to breakfast, everything bagel, sausage, egg, and cheese. I don't like the bacon.
What kind of cream cheese though?
Eggs and cheese.
No cream cheese, just a little bit of mayonnaise sometimes, but sausage, egg, and cheese, and really that's it on an everything plain bagel. That's it.
Cheese on a roll. No salt, please.
Cheese on a roll,
Mr.
sausage,
Cuomo?
cheese on a roll.
Same thing, no salt also.
No salt?
Mr.
He
Mamdani.
just copied him.
Egg and cheese
Yeah.
on a roll with jalapenos.
No.
Did he say mac and cheese?
Have you ever purchased anything in a
Egg and
cannabis
cheese.
shop? And if so,
Egg and cheese with jalapenos is just so extra. Every deli's going to be like, God damn it.
what did you buy, Mr. Mamdani?
I have. I have purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop.
Okay, Mr.
All right, let's get into that. So the New York State has not really allowed a lot of these licenses for legal cannabis shops. So if you want to get weed, unless you want to go out of your way, you have to get it from an illegal storefront. And is that the problem of the city, or is that the problem of these illegal storefronts? That's debatable. I blame the city. When marijuana was legalized by like a majority vote in New York City, the government should have done more to make sure that there was a good supply of it, and there isn't, and that's their fault.
Well, they're selling it all back to the cartels.
Possibly.
Cuomo?
No.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was
Cuomo
shot
just
5
no.
times, I've had Crohn's disease. I did use medical marijuana. Yes.
Hell yeah.
In a dream scenario,
Crohn's
we know
is
it's
a
not
bummer,
possible,
dude.
but
It's
the
a
Mets
real
are playing
pain in
Game
the
7 of
ass.
The World Series
Ah!
is on the same night as the Knicks are playing Game 7 of the NBA championship, and you can only go to one. Which
Sure,
one will
Captain.
it be, Mr. Sliwa?
I mean, statues are cool
Again,
to me,
which
but
baseball
like,
team?
This is the Mets.
I just
Game
want
7, Knicks
policy.
Game 7.
We can
I'm
work
not
on
going to the
statues
Mets
once
game.
we
I'm
get
a
our
Yankee
country
fan.
up and
True
running.
baseball fans
agreed.
either like one or the other.
And
I'm
no one
going to
gives a
the
fuck
Knicks
about
6 games.
sandwiches. This is
That's
some
my team, the
humanizing
Knicks.
bullshit
Mr.
right
Cuomo?
here.
Yep.
I'm going to go half and half. I can make it back and forth.
All right. And Mr.
I like how
Mamdani?
Cuomo
New
just
Yorkers
can't
are
just
sick of.
answer a
Just pick a
fucking
team.
What's your
question.
answer?
I'd be there for
Yeah.
the Knicks.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of ground covered. We'll leave it on that light note. Thank you, candidates, for a spirited debate. We thank you as well. We
Oh
hope
my
you get a lot
God.
out of it, New York City viewers, New York City voters. The New York City Campaign Finance Board, we thank heartily.
All right.
I'll tell you what.
So
That
final,
was bad
final
for
thoughts.
Cuomo.
Really bad.
Holy shit. Yeah, that was bad for Cuomo. He showed himself as an out of touch, inept, whatchamacallit, nepo baby energy.
Yeah, absolutely. He wasn't able to really answer any question with a real straightforward answer. And that's kind of, so this is what you have here. You have Cuomo, more of the same. You have the Republican Silma, who is going to be a little more strict on crime and more pro police. And that's pretty uncommon for New York City. And then you have Mamdani, who's going to be, if you really believe in him, the great white whale. He's going to be a drastic shift. And it really just depends what you want. I think all of them are a little bit of the same. There's no candidate here that really sticks out to me, but all of them are gonna, they're gonna run New York this a similar way, but Mamdani is gonna be the one that's gonna make drastic change. And then you just basically have a neo-lib Democrat and a Republican that's probably leans more liberal. This kind of Republican, because he's running for a mayoral election in New York City.
While you're talking, just turn down the volume a little
That's
bit.
about it, though. I mean, this is the video.
Again, which baseball team?
Okay.
Game 7, Knicks game 7.
I see. Okay, yeah. So, like, honestly though, for being this Silma guy that I've never heard of before, he actually had a really good showing. Cuomo came out and showed the problem with the Democrats and that they can't commit on policies because they have no.
But he's running as an independent.
Oh, he is? Oh.
Yeah, and Mamdani is the Democrat.
Wow, that's crazy to me.
It is crazy, yeah, and then the Republican really doesn't go far out Republican, so they're all just kind of like in the middle, but from different extremes.
No, like Cuomo and the Republican guy, Silma, they kind of have similar positions in my opinion.
And I would like to see Silma like have more Republican views, and I think that would be good for him.
Honestly, he's just got some common sense, like, things that make Cuomo just sound stupid,
Well, Cuomo is stupid.
Well, no, he's trying to prance around a bunch of different issues and demographics and voter groups, and you got Silma being the old white man yelling at the sky, "The prices are too damn high. 311 takes forever. Have you ever called him?" But honestly, it was a good showing for him. I mean, Mamdani,
it was a good showing for the Republican candidate, Silma.
Yeah, Mamdani.
I've never heard of him before.
If you like him, you probably liked his performance. I mean, he got some good points. There's just some stuff that he wants to do that's a little crazy. Like you said, it's going to be a lot of change.
Yeah, that's the problem. But he kind of panders to like the Muslim anti-Jew vote and to like the people that want like more rent stabilized apartments, and that is the majority of the voters, but that doesn't mean necessarily that he's gonna like actually have a difference on the city, that he's gonna be able to do anything that benefits the city. And that's kind of why, what did Cuomo call him the whole time?
The assemblyman.
Assemblyman, yeah, he was just making fun of his credentials. And so, like, Cuomo and Mamdani, to me, all three of them kind of just seem like maybe they come from different areas, but it's going to be a little bit more of the same. None of them are, like, super radical on their opinions, except Mamdani, but he's really toned down his opinions. So it's just, I don't know, it's just fucking more of the same from all of them, in my opinion. Just different directions.
Who would you vote for, or who are you leaning towards after watching that?
Personally, before watching that, my candidate was the incumbent.
Oh,
Eric Adams. Yeah, I actually think that he's better than all three of these candidates. But he dropped out. which is kind of sad to see. I really think if he was at that debate on top of his shit, he could have owned that. And he is like a Democrat that's like pro police, that was a policeman. So he really does kind of supports Trump and what Trump's been doing. And you're just not seeing that in the debate. You're seeing Mamdani, almost, you could argue, an extremist Islamic like opinion, like take on things. You're seeing Cuomo with the neo-lib opinion, and you're seeing the Republican candidate who has a very liberal, like, Republican stance, which is not enough. He needs to go out. He needs to go far out and really support Trump if he wants to get like a majority of the votes, which isn't going to happen because it's New York. So you're just seeing three candidates that all really aren't putting themselves out there. And if you count Eric Adams, you're seeing four candidates. One of them dropped out with all just kind of not good enough views on anything, but they all could get there.
Well, and so I don't live in New York. I live in the Midwest, though. But from my perspective, which is vastly different because I don't live in a city of multiple millions of people, but the most common sense and straightforward person in that debate sounded like Silma,
Yeah,
the old Republican guy. And I mean, obviously, like I said, if you like Mandami, then you'll like what he did because bro's gonna bring change, and he was very obviously trying to win over some more conservative or more moderate voters.
Yeah, more moderate voters for sure. Yeah, exactly. And what does an assemblyman mean? So it means he was part of, like, I don't even know, I guess exactly, the city assembly. It's basically a dish.
Like city council.
Yeah, it's a dish on Mamdami's credentials, because Cuomo has been governor before. Mamdami has only been an assemblyman, so it's kind of like a dish on his political credentials, saying like, you can't be mayor because you don't have as much experience as me, which is a bad argument because that doesn't matter at all. And then we see the Republicans, so kind of go in there and say, I'm a Republican, sure, but I take a more liberal stance on a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of voters don't want to see that from the Republican candidate, even if it's in New York.
I think that his questions to a lot of what I would perceive, again, I don't live there, so I don't know, but I think like the way that he answered some things obviously showed him as an old dude.
Yeah.
But like I think he gave a lot more common sense and straightforward answers than Cuomo, which any moderate person is probably going to go between Cuomo and Silma anyways. They're not going to touch Mandami.
No,
so
especially the like more conservative Jewish population, which is a lot.
And I think that's exactly why Cuomo was bringing up a bunch of buzzwords, talking about like Hassan Piker and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he was coached to do that. I'm sure he's never heard of Hassan Piker by himself. I'm sure he was coached about that. And if you want 4 more years of Cuomo, then go for it. But everyone that has lived in New York under Cuomo knows that the mayor could be better. And so that leads you to want to vote for Mamdani or the Republican candidate, Selma. But neither of them seem like they're really that great, although they do have different opinions than Cuomo.
And then real quick, an assemblyman is the lower house or the lower arm of the legislature. So in the United States, we have the House of Representatives, and then the Senate, which is like for our federal government. And so each state has one for their own state legislature. So he's in like the House of Representatives for the legislature in New York.
Yeah, so if you want to see more of this stuff, definitely subscribe, check out our other videos. This is like a hot topic, the mayor candidate in New York right now. And it looks like you got Mamdani, who's got drastic change, and you have Cuomo and the Republican candidate, who kind of are both very similar, but you have to remember that New York City is a Democratic city, and they're most likely not going to vote for the Republican candidate. It's going to be between Cuomo and Mamdani. Cuomo is going to be more of the same, if you like that. Mamdani is going to be definitely a drastic change, which might be necessary, but it's kind of up to the voters to decide if they want that or not. And also, a vote for Mamdani is definitely a direct vote to be targeted and hated on by the federal government, which we've seen in Chicago, Oregon, and LA. And in my opinion, we don't want to see that in New York because it doesn't bring like a positive change. That's kind of my like takes on it. Either way, have a good night. We'll catch you in the next stream.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe, it really helps us out.